official kickoff ceremony, which will be performed by Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And as you can see, there is a truly bilingual flavor to the festivities here this afternoon. The weather and the field conditions are always important aspects of the Grey Cup game, so let's check on those situations now as we switch down to the field and Pat Barnes.
Well, you know, pending the outcome of this national championship game, the topic which has been uppermost in everybody's mind has been the condition of the field. And as we look at it right now, it's amazing to think that this field is in the kind of shape that it is when you consider that just about 8 hours ago it was a virtual quagmire. Right now, it's virtually in perfect shape, but as you can see, it started to snow, and that's an unexpected turn of events here. But nevertheless, the wind conditions are not going to have an effect on this ball game, so generally speaking, we should be in pretty good shape. Now let's go back upstairs to Dick.
Okay, Pat, then we'll be checking in with you, of course, in just a few moments. We'll continue with more of our pregame Grey Cup activities in just a moment. For the next few moments, the fans here at CNE Stadium in Toronto, and those of you at home watching on television, are going to be entertained by a very colorful group, the Calgary School Patrol Band and the Stampede Majorette. The band is sponsored by the Alberta Motor Association, the Active 2030 Club of Calgary, the Calgary Police Department, and the public and separate school boards of the city of Calgary. And right now, they're forming up to the drum rolls down there around midfield. The colorful Stampettes are adorned in Indian headdress, their uniforms blue on the top and white skirts. And the band itself, the boys in black pants and the girls in black dresses, trimmed with the white and the tunics that they're wearing, the traditional Calgary Stampeder colors of red and white. And of course, as you can see with the band, the 10-gallon hats that have predominated here in Toronto throughout the week. The group is currently forming up to present their first number here to the fans. As you can see them getting all set, the first formation that they are going into will be a teepee, and there it is. Youngsters between the ages of 8 and 14 years of age included in this group from Calgary. Sunshine of your smile, and perhaps you notice the smoke coming out of the top of the teepee. And with the snow filtering down here amidst a little bit of rain perhaps at CNE Stadium, sunshine of your smile welcomed by the fans. This group was formed 12 years ago by the Calgary Police and Safety Education Department to lead and inspire the school patrollers who work every school day on hundreds of busy city intersections. To give you an idea of what a good job this special police division has done with these children, there has not been a single accident at any intersection patrolled by the Calgary School Patrollers since their inception 20-odd years ago, a remarkable record. The group is currently being trained by Sergeant Jack O'Neill and his staff. The Calgary School Patrol and the next routine on the field will be as the youngsters form an S followed by a P for School Patrol. And there it is, as the Saints go marching in. You notice the bells on the ankles of the girls in the drill team. formation now for the majorettes will be in the form of a circle where they will do an Indian war dance. Here again, complete with smoke. There you see the temperature at the moment here in Toronto, 35 degrees. These youngsters spent last night here in Toronto sleeping on the floor of the headquarters of the Ontario Motor League. Transportation to bring this group down from Calgary to Toronto, approximately $11,000. And they certainly have added a very colorful Western touch to the proceedings here this afternoon. The referee-in-chief, the senior umpire, and the team captains are standing by at midfield for the official coin-tossing ceremony. So let's go back to field level and Pat Marsden.
Don Ludsey, Chuck Sickerfoot, Wayne Harris, captains for the Calgary Stampeders, Russ Jackson and Kenny Lehman for the Ottawa Rough Riders. The coin toss will now take place to find out which club will have the choice. The Ottawa Rough Riders called tails. The Calgary Stampeders won the toss.
You're kicking to the scoreboard, Mr. Jackson. To scoreboard. Calgary won the toss. Select to receive. Ottawa kicking to the scoreboard.
All right, and that's exactly what will happen now. The Calgary Stampeders won the toss. They will receive the ball. The Ottawa Rough Riders will kick off. It's back to Dick Irvin.
Thank you very much, Pat, and we'll continue with more of our pregame Grey Cup activities in just a moment. And now at midfield at CNE Stadium on Grey Cup Day, Ottawa takes over to entertain the fans. And here they go, the Ottawa Rough Rider Band and the Riderettes. red uniforms, very colorful red uniform with the red hats. The Riderettes in predominantly white uniforms with the black belt, white boots, and the band members, black pants, red capes, and the white 10-gallon hats. Back to the field now, where Pat Marsden is standing by with the supervisor of officials for the Eastern Football Conference, Hap Schuldate of Ottawa.
Well, thanks, Dick. You know, Hap, there's no question about it. This is not only a big game for the players and the fans, but we also know it's a big one for the officials. How do you go about selecting your game officials?
Strictly on their merit, Pat. It's a case of what we think the best men getting the jobs, although there are other men maybe equally as good. But this is a case of reward for good service. Let's put it that way.
Hap, are you prepared for virtually any eventuality in this football game?
We think we are, Pat. In this instance, we even have a standby official in case one of them should get hurt.
You know, Hap, a lot of people, of course, who have followed football know that you were one of the great officials, too. Let's just go back over your career, the many Grey Cup games that you worked. Is there one that stands out in Hap Schuldite's mind?
Pat, you're obviously referring to the 1954 Grey Cup game and the Hunsinger play, I presume. And I think that one has to stick out. They're still talking about it 14 years later.
Well, it goes to show you that football, of course, is the type of game that just can't be forgotten. Hap, I'll tell you what I would like you to do for us, though, now. We know that the fellows are standing by. How would you like to introduce your game officials for us?
Thank you, Pat. I'd be pleased to. Our referee, Paul Dojak of Regina, participating in his 15th Grey Cup game. The line umpire, Bob Shepard from Toronto, working in his 3rd or 4th Grey Cup game. The back umpire is Ken Stein of Vancouver. The head linesman is Bill Fry of Toronto. The field judge, Sid Burkhoff of Edmonton. And the standby official, Seymour Wilson, participating in his 22nd Grey Cup game. 2 as an official, and 20 as a referee. We think they're a top-notch crew.
Hap, I just want to ask you one more question. It was previously normal to have 6 officials, and you cut it back to the regular 5 this year, have you not?
This is correct. The reason we did this is because the rule book calls for 5. We think the 5 men do an excellent job, and we're quite pleased with having 5 men in the game. We have no such thing as East or West anymore as far as our officials are concerned, and this particularly applies to the Grey Cup game.
Hap, we had a fog game one day. What would happen if it should turn foggy again?
If it should turn foggy again, the rules are all laid down, and the commissioner has all his decisions ready.
And can you tell us them?
Yes. If the game was going to be called off prior to the game, it would have been called off by 11 o'clock this morning. Now that we're going to start the game in a few minutes, if the game should have to be called off prior to halftime, we would finish the whole thing tomorrow. If it was called off in the 3rd quarter, we'd finish the 4th quarter tomorrow, but we would play at least 1 quarter tomorrow if the game had to be called off. The score would start as it left off today.
Hap, there's no problem about that today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, we hope it's a good game. Back up to Dick Irvin.
Thank you very much, Pat. And now the band of the Royal Regiment of Canada has taken over as the Ottawa Riderettes have left the field. The Ottawa Rough Riders band is and the color guard marching down below us now, carrying the Canadian flag, the appropriate flag for Grey Cup Day, and the flags of all the teams in the Canadian Football League will be represented down here. And the guard is coming in from both sides of the field. There'll be appearing down at the bottom of your screen here in just a moment, and a very, very colorful moment here during the pregame activities at the CNE Stadium in Toronto. As we look across to the stands on the far side, it is so obvious that the white 10-gallon hats from Calgary are dominating the scene here this afternoon, as they have pretty well in Toronto throughout the last week. Colors of the flag bearers: white with black pants and a red sash, and green, followed by a green tunic with lovely young ladies are taking over the spotlight now on the field. Canada's Olympic gold medal winning ski queen Nancy Green is about to present the new Pontiac Parisienne, the Miss Grey Cup of 1968. 19-year-old Barbara Cassot, Miss Edmonton Eskimo, who was, of course, crowned Miss Grey Cup as part of the festivities here in Toronto last night. There's Nancy Green with her Canadian Olympic team sweater and her 10-gallon hat, and Miss Grey Cup, Barbara Cassot, a second-year education student from the University of Alberta. Incidentally, to get caught up in the Grey Cup race, Miss Toronto Argonaut was chosen as the runner-up, while Miss Saskatchewan Rough Rider was honored in the Personality Plus portion of the competition. That was a new area, and that honor went to Saskatchewan. And Miss Grey Cup. So a beautiful car for a beautiful queen here at Grey Cup time. And the field is absolutely filled with color here right now as the pre-game ceremony continues. Down at the one end to our left now, they have wheeled in the Grey Cup Parade winning float from British Columbia. The float depicting the Grey Cup, huge Grey Cup, of course, surrounded by models of all players from all 9 teams of the Canadian Football League. In this morning's Grey Cup Parade, the Toronto Junior Board of Trade ran competition for the best band, and the award went to the De La Salle Oaklands of Toronto. The best majorette group, the Rough Rider Majorette from Regina. The runner-up float for the parade was the Algonquin College float from Ottawa. Third place went to the Kinsman Club of East Scarborough, Ontario. And now the starting lineups of the Calgary Stampeders and the Ottawa Rough Riders have made their way to the entranceways leading on to the playing field. And if we're ready, let's join Pat Marsden downstairs for the player introduction.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing the defensive unit of the Calgary Stampeders. The right end. The right end, number 75. Rod Haynes. The right tackle, number 51, Granville Liggins. The left tackle, number 62, Don Luzzey. The left end, number 67, Dick Suderman. The right linebacker, number 70, Jim Furlong. The middle linebacker, 55, Wayne Harris. The left linebacker, number 31, Jerry Keeling. The left halfback, number 24, Frank Andruski. The right halfback, 27, Rick Shaw. The left safety, number 22, Terry Wilson. The right safety, number 15, Larry Robinson. And the left safety, number 21, Jerry Keeling.
You may notice some number changes. Keeling and Stewart, the sweaters were lost, traders, stolen for those two fellas overnight. And they have new numbers. There's a record for the Calgary Stampeders in Grey Cup competition 2 times, defeating Ottawa in 1948, losing to Montreal in 1949. And 20 years ago this week was that historic game where the Stampeders defeated the Rough Riders.
And now the offensive unit of the Ottawa Rough Riders. The right end, 76, Jay Roberts. The right tackle, 62, Mo Racine. The right guard, 56, Tom Schutte. The center, 43, Doug Speck. The left guard, 51, Roger Perdrick. Left tackle, 61, Tom Bayman. The left end, number 73, Margene Atkins. The flanker is number 26, Whitman Tucker. At halfback, number 11, Ronnie Stewart. At halfback, number 27, Vic Washington. The fullback is number 16, Bo Scott. And at quarterback, number 12, Russ Jackson.
And there you have the starting lineup, Calgary and Ottawa. And we'll continue with more of our pregame Grey Cup activities in just a moment. And now, at CNE Stadium, on the football field, I'm sure more people than have ever been on a Canadian football field at one time before, and they, along with the fans here in the stadium, now eagerly awaiting the arrival, and you see the official car of the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honorable Pierre Elliott Trudeau. There is the Prime Minister, as he is greeted by the Commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Jake Godot. You will notice that he has played it right down the middle, with buttons on his coat, one for Calgary and one for Ottawa. Greeting the Prime Minister, along with Mr. Godor, the Premier of Ontario, Mr. John Robart, and the President of the Canadian Football League, Mr. Alan McTeckern of Vancouver. And there you also see Miss Nancy Green and Miss Grey Cup. Of course, one of the most publicized pregame facts about this year's Grey Cup game has been those thoughts about the kickoff. He has listed the services of one of his aides, Mick Chapman, the former Canadian Football League kicking star, to give him a hand. And it's rather strange to hear records talked about in that department, but we'll see what we shall see here in just a few moments. Party is now moving to the timekeeper's bench. Directly forward.
Mr. Prime Minister, we understand that when you agreed to the 1968 Grey Cup kickoff, you soon started practicing. Is there any truth about that?
Not soon enough. I just took a lesson from Vic Chapman last Monday, and I'm afraid it's too late to begin.
Monsieur Trudeau, vous avez toujours été intéressé par le sport parce que vous l'avez pratiqué vous-même. Vous êtes un excellent judoka. Vous faites aussi du plongeon. Vous êtes un excellent plongeur. Quelle est l'importance, selon vous, du football chez nous pour la société canadienne?
Oh, il y a mille choses à dire, mais je pense que l'essentiel, c'est de voir tous ces gens qui viennent de toutes les parties du Canada et qui se rencontrent ici autour d'un événement sportif. Je pense que c'est ce qui est merveilleux, c'est que les gens se retrouvent, se connaissent mieux d'une partie à l'autre du Canada.
And out of the 9 teams here in Canada, is there anyone who can claim you as a special fan?
Afraid not. Afraid
No,
not.
I can see that. The Riders
Try to be on
understand.
both sides. I hope the best team wins.
Et même si vous souhaitez que la meilleure équipe gagne, est-ce que vous pouvez faire une prédiction à nos millions de téléspectateurs?
Aucune. Vous savez que je suis très mauvais en prophétie. Je ne m'y applique pas. Je sais que ce qui est important, c'est la façon de jouer, pas seulement qui gagnera. Alors, je souhaite que les deux groupes jouent très bien.
Mr. Prime Minister, good luck with your kickoff. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Prime Minister was interviewed by our confrere from the French network of the CBC, Mr. Garneau. Now the official party, surrounded, of course, by the ever-present photographers for the ceremonial kickoff prior to this afternoon's football game. Mr. Doe, this Grey Cup. The Premier of Ontario, Mr. Robart, the Canadian Football League director, and then, of course, Commissioner Jake Cador. And whether or not he's going to set a record as a kicker, I'm not sure, but I think that the number of photographers out in center field is setting a record right about now. And he is using a kicking tee. They claim the record is 27 yards, unofficially, set by the former Governor General Earl Alexander. And he's having a tough time to find out which direction to kick the football, and now he's going to move one of the television cameras because he's going to take a run at it. He's back a good 8 or 9 yards from there. Here we go. Right into the photographers, and you can see him put up his hat and say, what chance could I have? A very, very colorful ceremonial kickoff by the Prime Minister of Canada. And it looks as though we're going to have another kick. Obviously, he wants to see how far he can kick that football, and the boys didn't give him a chance. However, we'll see. Grey Cup now in the center. And I guess that's not what's going to happen. They were going to bring the football back to him, but they changed their mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll ask you to stand now and all join in the singing.
And now the band of the Royal Regiment of Canada will play Old Canada. The official party is now moving off the field back to the timer's bench, where referee-in-chief Paul Dojak of Regina will present the Prime Minister with his official Grey Cup football. And while that is going on, it is now my pleasure to introduce your Grey Cup play-by-play broadcast team for this afternoon, Johnny Esau and Bill Bewley. So, boys, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Dick, and what a day this is. The first record has already been broken, as Dick pointed out, the number of photographers on the field. After working for 2 solid months in strict security, they said that there would be absolutely no more than 6 on the field, and that record has gone by the boards. However, be that as it may, and 2 football teams who had the problems with the flu during the week, and they are now out there relaxing and getting ready for the kickoff, and Ted Woods and Rudy Litterman go back for the Calgary Stampeders. Bill is ready with a good feel for a great day.
Johnny, there's so much excitement here. I just think the whole thing's going to burst wide open, and when that kickoff goes, that's what's going to happen. I'm sure we have the 2 most explosive offenses to play in the Grey Cup, I guess since back in 1954 when the Alouettes and the Eskimos did battle.
Going back in safety for the Calgary Stampeders, that great young sprinter. Rudy Litterman, number 17 to the bottom of your screen. Ted Woods, 32, a fine blocking back, and laterally a great ball carrier. Ready to kick off. The scoring champion of the Eastern Conference with 112 points, Don Southern. Referee Paul Dojak has given him the football, checking out all final details before he gives him the okay to proceed. Temperature is 35 degrees. The wind is from 5 to 10 miles per hour. And the forecast broadcaster, while he did not call for any snow, also said there would not be enough wind to affect the game. And I think that the fog we were afraid of a little while ago appears to be lifting over Lake Ontario. And I think that everything has just fallen into place beautifully. Frank Clare, the great coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, and Jerry Williams trying to become the winningest coach in the history of the Calgary Stampeders. And he would be if he wins it today with his 46th win, as they meet across the field at the CNE in Toronto. He plays it in the end zone. Grey Cup 68 at one end, Le Coupe Grey 68 in the other. The delay at the moment, of course, is waiting for the Prime Minister to officially take his place in the royal box. And we may have an opportunity. There you see, just at the bottom of your screen, a special monitor which the Prime Minister wanted to see the replays of today's game. And the royal politics, representatives of the sponsors who have been bringing you these football telecasts all year long, representatives of the two networks in Canada, CTV and CBC. Game is underway. Ted Woods on the 10. To the 20. Finally dropped on the 28-yard line as he is hit in there by young Barry Ardern, making his first tackle in a Grey Cup game, helped out by number 23, Billy Cooper. That was a 57-yard kickoff, a 20-yard return. The Calgary Stampeders, first and 10 at the Calgary 28. Nickapoose at center, Spitzer at left guard, Luke at right. Lisk at quarterback, Evanson to the bottom of your screen, Jerry Shaw 72 to the top. First running play for the Calgary Stampeders is young Rudy Linderman, who goes to the 35-yard line. And he picks up 6.5 yards. Stopped by the great defensive end, number 65, Billy Joe Booth. Herman Harrison, 76-72, Jerry Shaw, termed by many as the best defensive, or the best pass catcher that the Calgary Stampeders have. There's the unit, number 20, McCarthy, 63, Bolesky, 58, Luke, 46, Nickapoose at center, 56, Spitzer at left guard. Second down, 3.5, Calgary. With Lindemann, and he has the first down. He fumbles the football. I believe the Calgary Stampeders have recovered. No, they did not. And there's an argument going on down there. Gene Gaines pulled it away. Rudy Lindemann had made the first down and was struggled for extra yards, see if he can find it.
Well, Peter Lisk is establishing that running of Lindemann early in the game. Everybody expecting Cramner to be missed with his absence of that injury. There's the ball loose. Gene Gaines looks very quickly in there. A big break early in the game for the Rough Riders.
First and 10 for the Ottawa Rough Riders on the Calgary 38. Stewart set left. Jackson looking for the bomb. A long one down here to Atkins. Oh, the fingertips. Being covered by 15, Anders Robinson and number 21, Keeling. That's typical of Russ Jackson. Whenever he gets a break after a recovered fumble or an interception, he likes to try to hit you with the big bomb.
There you see on the freeze frame right in here, slow motion. I think Margene let up a little bit on that one, Johnny. The ball was well thrown. I don't think he thought Russ could throw it that far.
Fredericks and Shooty the guard. Banyan at left tackle, Racine at right. Second and 10. Calgary Stampeders. They're outside. They catch Washington back there as Jim Furlong brings them way back to the 51-yard line. That would have been a 13-yard loss. Granville Liggins attempting to beat the count. He did.
John, this has given defenses throughout the country a lot of trouble, especially in that second down situation. Russ Jackson usually comes out and goes very quickly off the ball, just occasionally and always at the right time, it seems. He delays that count, and of course Calgary are known for an explosive start on that defensive line. It worked successfully that time.
Stewart, number 11, Washington, 27, Scott, 16, and Tucker, 26. With the 11-year veteran quarterback, Russ Jackson, number 12. Roberts, the tight end on the left side. Atkins, the right end split. Second and 5. Quick toss to Scott. Calgary Stampeders hold them at the line of scrimmage. And that's Rick Shaw. 6'5" rookie playing that right cornerback on defense, along with the outstanding linebacker Wayne Harris. And so it'll be 3rd down and 5. And the efforts of Don Southern will come into play in a hurry. Don Southern, who was good on 17 out of 37 field goals this season, will attempt from the 41. Jackson holding. Robinson and Linterman in the end zone. He's wide. Linterman run it out. Hit hard on the 4. Taken there by Tom Schutte, number 56 from Indiana. Calgary Stampeders have come out of that exchange without having to give up a point. And they're now 1st down at the Calgary 4. Jerry Shaw split to the bottom of your screen. A quick pass, and here's Linterman. Hit there by 21 Giardino, the right cornerback, who grabbed him around the ankles and holds him at the 8-yard line for a gain of 4. Mike Spitzer, left guard, they joined the Calgary Stampeders in midseason. Tremendous speed for 250 pounds, trying to set it up for Linterman on the outside. 2nd down, 6 to go. Calgary Stampeders at their own 9. McCarthy, Shaw, Linterman all set to the right. Here's Litt trying to go long down here to McCarthy, and he does not have it. Covered in there by Billy Cooper. Peter Litt, who can probably march out of his own end with as much success out of anybody, has failed in this attempt. The scoring opportunity failed for the Ottawa Rough Riders, and it's a scoreless ball game. 11:48 remaining in the opening quarter. Now Ron Stewart, the Calgary High School star, the punter in the end zone. To hurry that. It's taken by Cooper. Kick in the middle, hit by number 47 Fred James, and dropped on the 35. They're trying to help him out, and it'll be 1st and 10. That wind favoring the Ottawa Rough Riders, and they are 1st down at the Calgary Stampeders 35. Ron Payne at right end, Peterman 67 at left, Luzzy and Liggins at tackle. Quick toss here to Washington. Great speed. Gets down that side. Hit him there by 22 Terry Wilson, and he goes out on the 13-yard line. Dick Schuterman finally coming over to drive him out. The gain is 18 yards for the sensational Vic Washington.
Keep your eye on Frank Andruski, number 24 from that left corner. With Dick Washington on the isolated, coming around there in that sweep. And Andruski fired outside there from a wide position and opened that huge hole in the outside of the Calgary defense. A quick pursuit finally came over, bringing Washington down, but not before they got great field position.
Ottawa Rough Riders 1st down on the Calgary Stampeder 13. Jackson with the option and lots of blocking. Oh, and breaking through there was Wayne Harris. Then Granville Liggins. And there's Wes Jackson. Cocked his arm. He was in. He pulled it back in and played it safe. Jim Furlong, corner linebacker, the 7-year veteran of the Calgary Stampeders, who draws a great bead on the quarterback, along with Ron Payne, another 7-year star, has forced him back to the 22-yard line. It is 2nd down and 18 to go. Tremendous pressure on the Calgary defensive unit. Stewart left, Washington, Atkins, Tucker, all right. Now Scott is right. Jackson again to the end zone to Atkins, and he can't get it. Jerry Keeling down there deep with Terry Wilson, the former Stanford product, along with Rick Shaw from Arizona State.
Calgary's pass defense has been the best in the country defending against that pass. And Ottawa, while their long bomb has been famous throughout the season, I think they're establishing early that they've got that speed and they're loosening that zone, dragging everything deep.
from the 28.5-yard line. I think he's wide on that one. It drifted. Larry Robinson trying to run it out. Yes, he did. He slipped. He got to the goal line, but where is the football? Larry Robinson, who slipped just at the goal line, trying to run that punt out, apparently slid out of the end zone with it, and the Calgary Stampeders will be first down on the Calgary 1-yard line. Jam-packed sellout crowd seems to be favoring the Calgary Stampeders here today. They are the sentimental favorites. Well, the odds seem to favor the Ottawa Rough Riders in the ball game. Jerry Shaw to the bottom of your screen. Peter Lisk slips, gets his footing again, trying to get down to McCarthy, and it's slipped away. Showing a lot of poise throwing out of that end zone, Bill.
Johnny, he's been very successful all season taking his team from deep in that end, as you mentioned earlier, and bringing them up at least to midfield, and then the Stewart's kicking to put the opposition in deep territory. But the Ottawa defense are doing an outstanding job in defending against that long bomb. That time, Gene Gaines, as he has done so many times this season, came across from his free rover position and broke up that long pass.
Lehman, Jerry Campbell, and Wayne Giardino, those linebackers trying to put that heat on. There's the pass to Shaw. He's got a first down. Very underrated ball player, Jerry Shaw, hit by Jerry Campbell, a former Calgary Stampeder. And ask many of the Stampeders, and they'll tell you that Shaw, not Evanson or Harrison, has the best hands in that club.
Well, many consider him certainly the most outstanding, and of course, working against that zone, picking it short, where Lisk has had most of his success, and I think we should see more and more of that.
First down, and Lisk on that quick toss to that sideline. Jerry Shaw again, and he can't get away from Billy Cooper. Up to the 26-yard line for another first down. 12 yards. I noticed that the very expert calling of Fearless caught the defensive halfback, Don Southern, and Billy Cooper in a switch. First down, Calgary at the Calgary 26, going against the wind. Billy Campbell saw that one coming. Got him right at the line of scrimmage.
Hit by Lehman and
Held by Lehman as well. Actually, there'll be a loss of 2 on the play. Woods, who's considered to be one of the outstanding, if not the best blocking back in Canada, forced to become the ball carrier with the loss of Dave Cranmer, the Rookie of the Year. 2nd and 12 at the 24 for Calgary. A mix-up in the pass pattern there, I believe. Woods and Herman Harrison.
Well, I think that would be an automatic with Lisk, and Woods swinging out of that backfield, running that short curl-up or rainbow pattern. Had he looked quickly as he crossed the line of scrimmage, which he should have done when he saw that blitz was coming, Peter Lisk delivered the ball very quickly, and Woods had nothing but clear space all the way up the center of the field. A tough break early in the game for the Calgary Stampeder offense.
However, they're gradually moving out with 7 minutes and 16 seconds to go in the opening quarter, gradually moving out of their own goal area. Could take a good hop for them, it does. 45-yard line, picked up in here by Barry Ardern to the Ottawa Rough Rider 48. Bill Roy, probably the quickest downfield tackler with the Calgary Stampeders. 6-year veteran in the CFL, made the tackle along with Big Herman Harrison, the all-star end. Ottawa with Frank Clare trying to pick up their 6th win. Grey Cup. Russ Jackson fakes the toss, fumbles the football. Bo Scott may have got it back. Russ Jackson put so much into that fake that he popped that ball into Bo Scott a little bit too hard.
That counter off the quickie is very difficult at times. Scott, of course, runs it better than anyone. That time he's just a little too quickly in there. You notice he's ahead of the ball, and Jackson's putting it in there, hit him on the side, but I think Scott did manage to hold on to that ball.
So Scott gets it up for 2nd and 10. the 48-yard line. Jackson straight back. Now he tries to get out of there because Luzzy is chasing him. Here's the pass for Roberts, and it's good. Jay Roberts on the 33-yard line, stopped by Jerry Keeling. Harry Wilson. That's the 33rd catch of the year, and a 28-yarder for Jay Roberts.
Calgary with their 6 defensive backs and a lot of receivers down there for the Rough Riders. Jay Roberts finds a big opening on that side there. Jackson hit him perfectly.
Roberts, in the latter part of the campaign, helped those Rough Riders with a lot of wins. They didn't go to him too much in the playoffs, though. First and 10 at the 33. And the draw to Stewart. Local tackled by Dick Suderman and moved in for the 30-yard line for a gain of 3. And Granville Liggins, who was Mr. All-American everything at Oklahoma last year. Just a fantastic list of credits. Lineman of the year, All-American, all-everything. It's going to be interesting if you happen to catch Liggins meeting head-on with the center down there, Doug Speck. 43 and 51. Here's the rush by Payne. Jackson hit by Don Luzzy. Loss of 7 on the play.
Well, Don Luzzy, the old pro, the 11-year veteran of the Stampeders, he's the anchor man on that defensive line. They rely on Payne or Liggins to get in there very quickly, and then with that sure power, Luzzy comes in. He did the job perfectly that time.
Jackson has been thrown for 16 yards in 2 losses. Don Southern will try from the 44. Longest of the year is 46. And he does not make this one, though. Larry Robinson gets by Jay Roberts and then goes out at the 20-yard line. So Ottawa has tried from the 44, the 37, and the 44. Speculation about the field. The field is good. There was a lot of speculation about the teams that are flew, and the teams are good. So heading to a good one. Peter Lisk on that toss to Rudy Linneman. Great tackle in there by Jerry Campbell. That saved...
Linneman stopped by Campbell after a gain of 1.
Talk about Rudy Linneman. We keep saying he's little. He just looks little. He's built at 206 with tremendous speed. Great future for him with those Calgary Stampeders. 2nd and 9 on the 21. Shaw to the top with Harrison. And Lisk has to get out of there. In chase by Billy Joe Booth. Still trying to throw. And a great comeback by Terry Emerson. They will go good. Look at that again.
By Peter Lisk evading that rush by Billy Joe Booth right there, and then tremendous cooperation and teamwork by Terry Emerson, knowing Lisk perfectly, comes back with tremendous speed here, makes a diving attempt to catch the ball. The official right on the spot ruled that he did trap it right there.
And so Ron Stewart will punt from his own 8. 3:51 remaining, and the pay is blocked. The ball goes into the end zone. Ted Woods races after it. And does he recover? Gene Gaines tries to grab it. I think Woods does. Wayne Giardino came in to block it. And I don't know whether a Calgary Stampeder touched that ball going into the end zone or not. I don't believe so, which would make it a single.
John, it'll be a single because the kick was blocked by the Ottawa defense, and if the impetus it was the Ottawa defense that put the ball into the end zone, it will be a single point. And Ted Woods did a remarkable job of getting back there because there were Rough Riders all around him, and that's not going to be too costly a situation there. 1 point early in this ball game was an explosive offense that the Stampeders possessed.
Wayne Giardino. kind of a play that turned the tide against the Toronto Argonauts in this very field in the first game of the season. And Ottawa and Toronto started their great match and rematch series this year. So it's a 1-0 ball game with Ottawa leading and Calgary first down at the Calgary 25. Gary Watson is in there, and Kedwood carries the ball for a gain of 4. Forward point of advance should get him very close to that 30-yard line. Ken Lehman, the outstanding lineman in Canada, along with Billy Joe Booth. And with 3 minutes to play in the first quarter, the score is Ottawa 1, Calgary nothing. We'll go downstairs now for an injury report. Bob?
Knee ligaments to his right knee. Trainer Larry Chase doesn't expect he'll be back in the game. Back up to you, Johnny.
Tough break for the Calgary Stampeders. Jerry Watson is in there to replace him. A 1-0 ball game, and Peter Litt throwing in there to Jerry Shaw. He was bumped by Don Southern, and it goes incomplete.
There's a new wrinkle for the Ottawa defense in a short passing situation, short yardage. They're reading Litt to throw that pass short and quick, and one of his favorite patterns is that quick pass, outside men crossing inside, and both the outside linebackers that time jumped up and knocked the receivers off their pattern, and as you saw it there perfectly, well-executed defense.
Third down and 5, and Ron Stewart gets a good one away. Rest of the day. Barry Archer get in there at the 35, tries to dance his way up for another 2 yards, and Fred James, the sophomore, University of Alberta, Calgary's first draft choice 2 years ago, making the tackle. 2 minutes, 22 seconds remaining in the opening quarter of the Grey Cup Classic. The Ottawa Rough Riders, an offensive line with second center, Frederick 51 at left guard, Chudy 56 on the right side, Banion 61 at left tackle, Racine 62 at right. Atkins and Roberts at the end. Passing here to Washington. Pulled down by Wayne Harris on the 42, and it's a gain of 4 yards.
Washington, stop by.
Second and 6.
Washington catching that short pitch pass and then coming down trying to get in front of the lineman coming across, the play they had so much success with in their playoff series against the Toronto Argonauts.
Second down, 6 to go. Ottawa on the Ottawa 42. Down the center to Jay Roberts. Caught by Wayne Harris at the Calgary 53-yard line. 15 yards, the length of the game for Jay Roberts.
And Ottawa's game plan defensively seems to be paying dividends now. They took it all deep with that speed early, and now Jay Roberts coming in behind that loosened zone, picking away the short pass from Russ Jackson.
Each team has 3 first downs so far. Scott. Scott was hit not too hard at the line of scrimmage, but as he tried to get out of the way, he threw himself off balance, and Ron Payne hit him.
Here you'll see the pursuit of that Calgary defense. Scott in there is hit tough at the line of scrimmage, and then Liggins keep on coming. 75, Ron Payne in there, and Bolesky following in, last man in the act.
Loss of 5, it is second and 15. Big rush on Jackson. No good, intended for Ronnie Stewart.
Jackson fired for
Harry Kaling, who was all Canadian in 3 years, 64, 65, and 67, and you could see on that play why. 7 seconds remaining. Completed 3 out of 6 passes for 48 yards. And it'll be 3rd down and 15. Bob McCarthy and Larry Robinson are now back in safety for Calgary at the Calgary 10 and 13. Bill Van Berklio kicking for Ottawa. He had to hurry that one and hit it low. Robinson put his head down. They yanked the ball out of his hands, and let's see whether the whistle's good. I don't think so. Calgary Stampeders have given up the football as Tom Banion hit it. And at the end of the first quarter, the score is Ottawa 1, Calgary nothing. We'll be back with the second quarter in a moment. The Ottawa Rough Riders pouncing on every opportunity. Our first down on the 23.
Well, those injuries to Dave Crandler and then Rudy Linderman put Bob McCarthy and number 15 Larry Robinson back in the game. And there that fumble cost the Calgary Stampeders a chance at offense, and the Rough Riders have a good field position now on the Calgary 24-yard line.
The Ottawa Rough Riders, who have not lost a game since September 21st, except the first game of the Total Point Final. Washington. Hit by number 31, Ron Stewart, the right cornerback, who is right up on the line of scrimmage. That gain is 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Ottawa 1, Calgary nothing. Calgary Stampeders playing in their 3rd Grey Cup. They won 1 and lost 1. 2nd down and 6. Washington. He's caught back there again by Ron Stewart. Maybe a loss on the play. Ronnie Stewart, the Calgary High School star. Went to Brigham Young University, then Utah State. Intercepted 5 passes this year, but what a tough tackler he's been this afternoon. Don Southern trying his 4th field goal of the afternoon. He's good. And with 14 minutes to play in the second quarter, the score is Ottawa 4, Calgary nothing. The ball is on the 35-yard line, and Ottawa leads Calgary 4-0. And the Stampeders now have the win. Peter Lisk in the I formation. Woods steals out of there. Watson is the ball carrier, hit by Dave Dragon. 55, the defensive right end. Along with Wayne Giardino, number 21, the right corner. And that combination, Giardino, Peterborough boy, went to Florida State, and he brought Dave Braggins with him into camp, asked for tryouts. What a sensational find Braggins has been for the Ottawa Rough Riders. 2nd and 10. Listen. Oh, and he faked the Statue of Liberty, and they have trouble getting it away. Ed Woods is hit by Gene Gaines and Don Southern.
Tail end of that Woods out there, Booth and Gaines and Don Southern filling up very quickly for the outside cornerback spot, stopping what looked like a pretty good reverse until that defense caught up with it. And I think Woods may have had little trouble in that footing on the far side of the field, turning that corner at full speed.
Ron Stewart hunting for the Calgary Stampeders from his own 27. Good kick. Ardern in the 27. By number 65. Roger Kramer and Joe Forzani. Forzani, another of the great young Canadian rookies that the Calgary Stampeders have come up with this year. From Calgary, he went another one that went to Utah State, and then they thought they were going to lose him to the Philadelphia Eagles. He was drafted so high by them. Play any point in that defensive secondary. First down, Ottawa on the 30. Into the middle to Bo Scott to the 35, and it's a gain of 5. Ron Stewart again making the tackle. Ron Stewart is shaken up. And a tremendous toll has been taken of those Calgary Stampeders. Bo Scott, strangely enough, and this is, of course, a great testimonial to that Calgary defense, has carried the ball 4 times today and has no yards. Quite the reverse of in the last game of the Eastern Final when the most outstanding football player in Canada, Bill Simons, who picked up 1,107 yards this year, couldn't make a dime against the Ottawa defense.
There's been so much talk about both offenses, how explosive they are, the high scoring, the great passing, and the running, of course, of Ottawa. And while everybody has recognized the defenses, they really haven't gotten all that publicity this week in Toronto. But, of course, they don't need the publicity. They've proven it out here in this first quarter that they're 2 fine defenses, as evidenced by this really low-scoring game. Judged by everyone's predictions, they were looking for 25, maybe 50-point total score.
Joe Forzani, number 73, comes in to play the right corner in place of Ron Stewart. 2nd and 5, Ottawa. The Ottawa 35. Calgary Stampeders have come up with the football. Wayne Harris.
The center exchange just did not materialize, and I think one of the reasons there, Doug Speck has done an outstanding job of blocking Liggins, knows that he's got to do that job quickly, get the ball to Jackson, his quarterback, and then look out because here comes Liggins, and that really paid off for the Calgary Stampeders.
So it's Calgary first down at the Ottawa 34. The pass over here to Jerry Shaw. Hit by Billy Cooper and gains 4. Billy Cooper, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber and Rookie of the Year 3 years ago in the Western Conference. That's the 4th fumble of the football game. 2 by Calgary, and we lost 2. Ottawa fumbled twice and lost 1. Second down, 5 yards to go. Lift, quick pass, good cut in. What a catch by Jerry Shaw. Cut right in front of Billy Cooper.
And there's that same pick pass, that outside man running in and the inside one going out, doing a quick cross in there, screening off any defense, a very effective pass pattern against either zone or man-to-man. And here you'll see it an isolated. Shaw 72 running in, quick in behind Herman Harrison. Billy Cooper, I think, thought he had the interception. Somehow Shaw stole it away from him.
1st and 10, Calgary at the Ottawa 22. Peter Licht has to turn away. Down the middle. And they're ruling that he intentionally grounded the football.
He had nothing to lose by trying it, John, because to hold it there was all that pressure coming in on him. 3 more Rough Riders ready to put the wood to him. He was going to take a long loss anyhow, throw the ball out in the flat. There was certainly no Rough Riders around to intercept. Possibly an official may have interpreted that was a forward pass attempt.
Jim Kane, the defensive right tackle, and Marshall Shirk, the all-star defensive left tackle, were putting that rush on. And Peter Licht, who is not noted for his great speed, turned away from the rush and was running into more of it. It's second down. Way back at the 41-yard line. He's trying to get Jerry Shaw downfield. Back into the middle to Evanson. And hit him around the ankle. So with that 19-yard loss, makes it 3rd and 29 on the 41. And now let's go to Calgary Stampeders again, and Ron Stewart is evidently all right to come back in and do the punting. Billy Cooper and Barry Ardern back to receive. Cooper on the 6th. Bob Luke, the all-star guard, number 58, in to make the tackle. Along with Bill Roy, that's a 35-yard kick and a 1-yard return. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Ottawa Rough Riders. At the Ottawa 7. It's 4-0. Ottawa over Calgary. And we have 10 minutes and 2 seconds left in this second quarter. Forzani goes out. Ronnie Stewart comes back in. 35 degrees here at the CNE Stadium. Jackson comes off the ball in a hurry, gives to Washington. Hit in there by Keeling and by number 27, Rick Shaw. Holds him to a gain of 1.5 yards. Bill, that's quite a tribute because the way they're getting to Vic Washington before he can turn that corner.
Well, John, they've done an excellent job all season, that 6 defensive halfback setup for the Stampeders of pursuing, and they have good reaction to the ball. Jerry Keeling reacts especially well. And number 62, Don Leslie, did a great job there of stripping the interference before that play got started, breaking across from a defensive right tackle position, knocking the guards off, and making it wide open for Washington's tackle.
2nd down and 9. Roll action right with Russ Jackson trying to get way down deep to Wick Tucker. Could be picked. Oh, no good.
Jackson flag. The intended for Tucker incomplete.
Made an attempt on it. Robinson was back there on Wick Tucker, who caught 8 touchdown passes in the first 3 games of the season, and it looked like the great flash from Western was going to be on his way to a record that would never be caught. But the defensive coaches of the CFL have been outstanding, and doesn't matter how great the new player is, they find a way to neutralize them. 3rd and 9 with Van Berklio in the end zone. Oh, it was almost blocked. Larry Robinson on the 52, and he steps out of the 52. Frank Andruski. Big Western delegation here. Saskatchewan Rough Riders put on quite a show last night with their riderettes. They had everybody agog. Herman Harrison, Bob McCarthy, Jerry Shaw, all from the bottom of your screen. Marshall John List down the middle. Good there to number 26, Jerry Watson, and the gain is 2. Bill, I've never seen a quicker release on any quarterback anywhere.
That's right, John, and of course the Ottawa defense realized that. They know that they've got to keep very close coverage, especially in blitzing situations. And here you'll see it here, List dropping back, seeing the rush. Kenny Lehman coming barreling through there in the center. There's a little sidestep action there, and number 26, Jerry Watson, just a little safety valve checkoff over there, but it is a 2-yard gain instead of a loss.
It is 2nd down, actually 9 yards to go. And there's List again out here. For Jerry Shaw, pass interference is called. Well, let's see if we can find out how this pass interference occurred. Cooper is really irate.
An isolated camera. Here's Shaw coming out. Now Southern almost intercepted this ball. He's just in front to the top. Cooper is on him. And there you'll see him going up over in front, knee into the back, pushing Shaw off balance. Otherwise, he had a fair chance to catch that ball.
That'll make it 1st down on the 37-yard line. Watson flies out to the right. Long sideline pass for Shaw, and it's good. 1st down on the 21-yard line. Billy Cooper and Don Southern. And I might point out that the isolated camera is being called by the great defensive star of the Toronto Argonauts, Marv Luster, and that's why we're able to pick off almost every play for you.
Well, Marvin was going to steady guarantee us 80%, and he's done an exceptional job. But there's Shaw and Peter List, the remarkable List, throwing with great accuracy. That time he really rifled that ball right on the target.
Alger has Shaw to the bottom, Evanson to the top. Oh, and Bob McCarthy did not expect to get that ball.
List fakes Giordino on that one because he's well cross here. He's looking to the left, and this one turns very quickly, throws to the right. Giordino up in the air, over top of his outstretched hand. McCarthy very alertly, with great concentration, watching the ball in. And the Stamps are threatening now for the first time in this ball game.
Shaw has caught 5 passes for 52 yards. It's first down, Calgary at the Ottawa 6. Fake to Watson. List rolling. High to McCarthy. And it is a flag in the end zone. Illegal interference. Illegal interference in the end zone. Ron Southern is complaining.
Play action pass here. Watson does an excellent job of putting the block on Booth. Poirier in here, leaping up high in the air, but the interference is called back further into the end zone on Don Southern, I believe, and the penalty, of course, half the distance to the goal line. Calgary should take this ball on about the 4-yard line.
And first down. 6 minutes, 56 seconds remaining in the first half. It's a 4-0 ball game. Ron Payne comes in, along with Art Frazee. Terry Evanson and Bob McCarthy go out. They want protection in there. They want big men now for the short yardage situation. Watson to the goal line, and he is. No signal as yet. No signal as yet. No Poirier. He came up to make the stop, and they rule that he is down on the 1-yard line.
That's a new formation that Jerry Way has put in just recently, I think just for the playoff action, a TI formation. A left half, a fullback, and a nigh back in behind him. It gives excellent blocking with those 2 lead halfbacks for the ball carrier.
Second and goal to go on the one. Peter Liston, the quarterback. And pandemonium breaks loose. CNE.
And again, that DI, everybody is threatening the off tackle. The defense has reacted to it. Lynch with great drive in there, following the center Chuck Nicholson, and into the end zone for the big touchdown for the Stampeders.
Calgary went 52 yards in 7 plays for the major score. Larry Robinson. He's good. Robinson has completed 45 out of 52 converts this season. Makes it a 7-4 ball game. Calgary over Ottawa. 6 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the first half. And you might have seen the shot of the Prime Minister a moment ago in the Royal Box, taking a look at the playback on the monitor. He wants to see those slow motion replays too. Now Vic Washington is back with Billy Cooper. Washington who made a sensational debut, running one back for 104 yards. The opening game of the season. Washington flips inside. Cooper on the 1. Downed on the 6-yard line by Terry Wilson and Mike Spitzer. 64-yard kick and a 5-yard return. Spiral on that ball, and Washington slipping.
From the 6-yard line.
One was a difficult one to field. Most kickoffs go end over end. This one was spiraled. I think the kicker was trying to angle it off to the right, away from Washington. But Cooper fields it down in there. But this is the excellent field position now for the Stampeder defense.
5:45 remaining in the second quarter. Jackson giving to Washington. No place to go. Liggins and Harris pull him down. On with Billy Roy. Gene Filipski will be on at halftime to give you the highlights of that first half of play. And Dick Irvin will be bringing you the halftime field show, which is very, very colorful indeed. Jerry Williams. Burrows assisted. Tucker to the bottom, Atkins to the top. Washington on that delayed draw. Wayne Harris read it beautifully. Harris, who the outstanding lineman in 65 and 66, and he's been an all-star for 8 straight years. What a record. Washington. What a debut. It'll be third down and 2 yards gain. It'll be actually about a yard and a half of gain. So it's third down, 8.5. Not too much rush on Van Berkeo. Robinson let the ball roll dead, trying to draw Tom Banyan, 61, into that 5-yard, no-yard zone. But Tom Pullen, a great downfield catcher like that, was in to pull him down. 44-yard kick and a 2-yard run back. Calgary Stampeders, who finished second and wound up in the Grey Cup, beating Saskatchewan and reversing the story on Saskatchewan from last year. Offside Ottawa. Jerry Watson trying to get away as they had that big blitz. Gaines, along with Jerry Campbell, who had the initial rush, but it was offside as the blitz beat the ball. Out across the lake, so any fears we had of a storm moving in or fog, I think, have dissipated. Lights have been on since before the start of the game. It's a 7-4 ball game, Calgary over Ottawa. Evanson split wide to the bottom of your screen, and Giardino comes off the cover. Into the center goes Jerry Watson, and he has the first down. Dave Bragan, 250-pound rookie at defensive end, pulled him down. The gain is 10 yards.
Coach Williams is showing a lot of confidence in these rookies. Lenterman he put in, and he gave him the ball the first 3 or 4 times. Now Watson is in. Same thing is happening, and with excellent results.
First down for the Calgary Stampeders on the Ottawa 38. Litt, back to throw. Sideline pass for McCarthy, and it's good. Given out by Billy Cooper. On the 21-yard line. Gain of 17.
Very vulnerable spot in this 3-deep zone of Ottawa. Shaw takes everything deep in the outside, and McCarthy comes in front of the deep defender and in behind Don Southern, covering short.
First and 10 for the Stampeders on the 21. Litt into the end zone. Is it good? It is. Van Berkeo deep in the end zone.
An excellent pass protection blocking by that front four. Washington here, the blitz comes, everything is picked up. Litt stands in there poorly. Evanson with that little extra tackle gets in behind the defense, and it's another big six for the Stampeders.
And they went 53 yards in 4 plays this time, and Terry Evanson catches his first pass of the afternoon. 9 out of 15 for 107 yards for Peter Litt. Good. 3 minutes and 11 seconds showing on the clock to halftime, and this is the wildest Grey Cup crowd I can remember.
Terry Evanson puts on a stop and go situation there, and then Van Berkeo reacting up on that first fake and the hook pattern. Couldn't get started again. Liskin, that extra time to throw, lobs it with perfect accuracy to Terry Evanson, who has already caught 9 touchdowns for the Stampeders this season. His first one of this game.
Calgary has 12 first downs and Ottawa 3. Kickoff. Robinson kicked a good one down to Washington over his head. Washington to the 10. Herb Shum makes the tackle. And with 3 minutes to play in the second quarter, the score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 4. In the first quarter, the Ottawa Rough Riders kept kicking the Stampeders deep into trouble, and in this quarter, the Stampeders have been kicking the Rough Riders into trouble. A 79-yard kickoff and a 24-yard return gives Ottawa first down at the Ottawa 10. 3 receivers wide to the right. Atkins, Washington, Tucker, Jackson. Goes short in here to Washington at the gain of 5. Frank Andruski, the All-Canadian, made the tackle. Nick Washington, the All-American from Wyoming. 10 touchdowns for the Ottawa Rough Riders this season, 2 of them on passes. Led the Eastern kickoff return with better than 32 yards a trip. Second and 5 for Ottawa on the Ottawa 15. Jackson's pass to Ronnie Stewart. To the 30. To the 40. I think he touched down on the 39. Rickshaw making the tackle. 24 yards.
Well, Ronnie Stewart, one of the bread and butter men of the Ottawa attack for so many seasons, makes a specialty pay off here, taking a little check off from Jackson, taking it deep upfield, and time isn't going against the Rough Riders now. 2:21 on the scoreboard.
Ottawa first down at the 39. Jackson with Washington out there. Oh, and he is snowed under at the 35. Big rush from Ron Payne, Ron Stewart, and Liggins. As much as we saw, Bill, of this Granville Liggins, I'm amazed at what he does in that field.
That speed on the defensive line, Johnny, is just tremendous. And, of course, he puts all kinds of pressure on that offensive front wall. They know that they've got to get to him quickly, and hence they commit themselves maybe a little bit too early, open the lane for the blitz.
Jackson has 5 out of 9 for 77, but he's been dropped 3 times for 20 yards and lost. Fredericks is out, and Braggins goes in to give him another 25-yard pounds of protection. Jackson down the middle to Atkins, and it's good. Can't get away from Ronnie Stewart. 23 yards to Margene Atkins.
Let's take a look at Margene Atkins, number 73, on isolated from his right flanker position, down and across, coming in running an inside post pattern. The zone is dropped off now. They're content to let them have a few short ones, but not too many more, John. They're getting in there.
Well, they're trying to knock these people down at that line of scrimmage. Out of protection now for Jackson. Washington, no good. Dropped the ball. Calgary defense reacted very quickly to that screen, led by Big Dick Suderman. And Suderman, who goes 6'5", puts those hands up in the air. Pretty tough to throw over.
And, of course, out in that screen, when he has that good reaction, that's a very difficult play to get started. But the ball is stopped now. That new rule change this year, anytime the ball stops, it does not start again until the referee signals play, and this is important in this last 3 minutes.
Block kick gave them a 1-0 lead in that first quarter. Now 14-4 for Calgary. Jackson slips and falls, and he throws short. Don Luzzy, who was putting the rush on Jackson, also slipped and fell. Now we have 1:24 remaining in this first half of play. It's a 3rd and 10 situation, and the ball is on the Calgary Stampeders 52. Evanson and Lift scoring the touchdown. Well, they've got Robinson and McCarthy back. Van Berklio, who is back and intending to punt. And he gets a good one. Robinson on the 5. Tom Pullen pulls him down on the 5-yard line. Ron Luzzy made that last play with only one shoe on. But he wasn't going to get down and make any tackle on that play anyway. It was so deep. This scoring at 8:52 from the 1-yard line in the second quarter, and Terry Everson taking a 21-yard touchdown pass from Peter Liss. 11:49. We have 1:15 remaining in this first half. Foul is on the 5-yard line, Calgary. First down. The bands and majorettes prepare to come on the field for the big halftime show. Cooper comes out to cover Jerry Shaw. Liss takes the woods, keeping, just killing time. Trying to get to that sideline. Ken Lehman dives and brings him down. And Peter Liss has what looks to be a first down.
It shows the great competitor Peter Liss is. Coming in the last minutes of play in this first half, not content to keep that ball down there. Of course, killing up some time, but also picking up another, almost a first down yardage in there.
Getting continually good blocking from Mike Spitzer, number 56 at left guard, and Bob Luke, 58 at right guard for those Calgary Stampeders. 46 seconds left on the clock to halftime. Down and put to go, and that big hole opens up on the quarterback sneak. And that's enough to move the yardsticks, and that's what Peter Liss was looking to do. Frank Clare, who has been in more Eastern finals than any other club. As a matter of fact, has been in the finals more than any other coach in Canadian football history with 11. Having trouble here getting his club to stop this Stampeder attack today. Peter Liss on the sneak. Stampeders have racked up 13 first downs as the snow begins to fall at the CNE. Second down, 5 yards to go on the 23-yard line. 10 seconds, the clock is running. These are running plays. Could be the last play of the half. Another quarterback sneak, and Liss is hit by Jim Kane and dropped at the 25-yard line, and the gun sounds to end the first half. And at the end of the first half, the score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 4. We'll continue with our Grey Cup halftime show in a moment.
This is Dick Irvin again, as we are now all set for the very colorful halftime show that will be a feature of Grey Cup Day here in Toronto at the CNE Stadium. And right now, marching out onto the field, very smartly attired in green jackets, dark pants with a white stripe, and a white stripe down the jacket, and the hat with the colorful plumes, is the Toronto Optimist Drum and Bugle Corps Band. And these fellows are the Junior A Band Champions of Canada. The boys are aged 10 to 14, and as the flag bearers rim the perimeter of the field here at CNE Stadium, this band is all set to entertain the fans for the next few moments. So let's sit back and enjoy the Toronto Optimist Drum and Bugle Corps Band, these boys between the ages of 10 and 14. From the CNE in Toronto, the score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 4. We'll continue with our Grey Cup halftime show in a moment.
This portion of Canadian Professional Football brought to you by Labatt's, brewers of 50 Ale, Canada's fastest-growing ale, and Labatt's Pilsner, the true blue lager beer, the best in Canadian football from the best in Canadian beer.
Well, it's been an exciting first half of play in this 1968 Grey Cup Classic, and what a way to start off a ball game. The Prime Minister kicking off. And in speaking with his special aide last night, we were informed that Mr. Trudeau has been practicing for 2 weeks. Here it is again in slow motion. There he is clowning around right now with our TV cameras down below. He had regulation football shoes with a square toe on his right foot. Okay, into the ball game. And the first big break in the game occurred when Wayne Giardino broke in through the middle to block Ron Stewart's punt. The high snap from center delayed Stewart. Ted Woods recovered for Calgary. Typical of the way Jerry Shaw has been catching the football during the first half, here he is on a slanting pattern. Watch this call for illegal interference against Joe Poirier. Definitely a big break for Calgary. The ball was intended for Bob McCarthy. Peter Lisk, after one unsuccessful play into the line, followed to center Chuck Zickafoos in for a touchdown. This is Calgary's first score. Watch here as he takes it on a quarterback sneak. On his next play, Peter Lisk, behind some good pass protection, throws to Bob McCarthy, an ex-Ottawa player. He's number 20, and he, of course, sets up this next big play. Terry Evanson gets behind Billy Van Berkelio as Pete Lisk lobs it in for Calgary's second touchdown. Watch here as Terry Evanson turns on the speed. Fine catch. Ron Stewart of Ottawa hurls over Rick Shaw on this next play. Watch here, and he just about breaks it before Dick Suderman, number 67, catches him from behind. It could have been a long touchdown play if Suderman hadn't caught him. And this is Margene Atkins, considered one of the fastest receivers in the CFL, who gained big yardage for Ottawa before the first half of play. And from the CNE Stadium in Toronto, the score is Calgary 14 and Ottawa 4. We'll continue with our Grey Cup halftime show in a moment.
Grey Cup time always brings back a lot of memories for football fans, and I'm wondering if perhaps somewhere in our audience this afternoon there's someone who remembers the very first Grey Cup game ever played 59 years ago, back in 1909. Coming up now, we have a classic bit of Canadian football film never before seen on television, and included in this film is the actual game, the 1909 Grey Cup game that was played here in Toronto. Here's the scene in the city of Toronto on the day of the game, and as you can see, the styles of the day were quite different than the styles we're used to now, and as you will see when we get going with the football film, the style of football changed, not only the way they played the game, but the uniforms as well. Now, coming up is that 1909 game, and here it is, the University of Toronto and the Parkdale Canoe Club. 3,807 fans saw the game. Total receipts, $2,600. Toronto won it 26-6. Now we're at 1925 in a game in Winnipeg between the Winnipeg Tammany Tigers and Regina, and this one was for the Western Championship. Winnipeg won this game 11-1 and then traveled east for the Grey Cup, losing 24-1 in Ottawa. And they had Grey Cup specials in those days as well. In 1929, a Canadian record crowd of 19,000 sat in at Toronto's Varsity Stadium to see the Varsity Blues play Queens. This was a two-game series for the right to meet Hamilton for the Eastern Canadian Championship. Then it was back to Queens, where the rivalry and the football fever continued. As I mentioned, the styles have changed. Now watch this little bit of old-time razzle-dazzle. Queens won this series. And there was the winning touchdown. November 23rd, 1929, Hamilton defeats Queens 14-3 to win the Eastern Championship. The Hamilton team is featuring the striped uniforms, and you'll notice that many of their players are wearing peak caps or no caps at all instead of football helmets. I wonder what some of these fellows think of the well-padded players we see in action today. This is 1929. And coming up now, football's very first instant replay. There it is. 1 year later, newsreel billboards proclaimed the arrival of the forward pass. It's Queens against Varsity in Toronto. In this film clip, you'll see several passes thrown, something, of course, very common today. But in 1930, it was revolutionary to the game of football. Stars of that day included Pep Ledley and Harry Batstone, Hall of Famers from Queens. As I mentioned, the styles have changed, but the enthusiasm was already there. And I wonder how the film of today's game will look to television viewers 30 or 40 or 50 years from now. Our thanks to Bill Galloway of the National Film Board, who is a real football fan, and Bill unearthed parts of that film, believe it or not, in somebody's basement in New York City. Now there's a look way back at Canadian football, including the very first Grey Cup game played in 1909. Well, as always, these statistics tell a very interesting story of a football game, and here with the first half statistics of today's game is Johnny Esau.
Well, you know, Dick, if you try to equate first downs with the score, you'll come up with just about the statistical story of this first half, as you'll see here. The score is 14-4, and the first downs are 13-5. Everything else appears to be just about equal, with 59 yards rushing for Calgary, 28 for Ottawa, 107 yards passing for Calgary, and 100 yards for Ottawa, with Peterless completing 9 out of 15, working the short zone brilliantly, and Ottawa with 6 out of 12 for Jackson behind and having to throw long, trying to get those points back, unable to take advantage of the early opportunities that they had. They fumbles lost, 2 by Calgary and 1 by Ottawa, and that was a very important point. Now here's the individual competition here among the two great passers in Canadian football. 9 out of 15 for Peter List, 6 out of 12 for Russ Jackson. And I think you're really going to see an aerial circus in the second half of this football game. And now let's take a look at the field preparations as they move off and get ready to start the second half.
The bands are assembling on the field for the grand finale. During the past few moments, the fans here at CNE Stadium have been entertained by the Canadian Marching Ambassadors, Canada's senior national champions, 21 years of age and over, for the members of that band in their black pants with the red stripes and the white and red jackets. Musical arranger and instructor and drum major, Mr. Ted Key. There you see the crowd, and of course, as we have mentioned several times today, the 10-gallon Western hat predominating. The Canadian Marching Ambassadors have completed their routine, and now the massed band, all of the bands that we have seen here today, the Calgary Band, the Ottawa Band, the Toronto Optimists, the Marching Ambassadors, and the band of the Royal Regiment of Canada, some 400 musicians, are going to get set as the grand finale for today's halftime show. They are going to play the great theme of Expo and Centennial Year in Canada, Canada. out in front, held by the Stampettes from Calgary. And the Prime Minister. Canada. The score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 4. We'll return with the second half kickoff in a moment.
The Ottawa Rough Riders down 14-4. Take the field, as do the Calgary Stampeders, now ready to kick off. Temperature is still 35 degrees here at the CNE, and the wind is 5 to 10 miles an hour. And it is not quite directly west to east as it was in the first half of the game. It'll favor the Calgary Stampeders in this third quarter. The Ottawa Rough Riders in the fourth. But it's a little bit more crossfield now than it was. And Vic Washington, number 27 and 23, Billy Cooper, ready for this opening kickoff. 14-4 at halftime. Evanson and Lisk scoring the touchdown. Kickoff by Robinson. Away from Washington, it's taken by Cooper. And at the 20, 25, and he's dropped on the 26-yard line by Terry Wilson. Billy Cooper, long down there by Herb Chum. The ball is on the 26-yard line, first down. And so Russ Jackson with Bo Scott, number 16, and a 61-yard kick and a 22-yard return. Ronnie Stewart comes out to join him, along with Vic Washington. Whit Tucker, number 26, the flanker. Roberts and Watkins the ends. Danian and Racine the tackles. Duty guard. And cutting back in there is Bo Scott, and he could not make the break. He picked up 2 yards on the play, and he was hit by Don Luzzy. Don was a six-time All-Star in the CFL, and he was named the outstanding lineman in Canada in his very first year, and he had 10 great years since. Second down, 8 to go for the Ottawa Rough Riders, who have been noted to make great adjustments at halftime. They're now down 14-4. Stewart and Tucker left. Atkins split wide to the right. Frank Andruski's covering him all the way. Here is Atkins trying to throw, and a great job by Frank Andruski. Right on Margene Atkins. Beat him by a fingernail. Strangely enough, this Calgary Stampeder club has 13 new ball players in it this year. Ottawa Rough Riders have 12, and Jerry Williams, I would suppose, has undergone with his club more serious injuries than any other club, and yet he's continued to make the adjustments to bring them back and put them in those great finals. Van Berkeley almost blocked in there by Frank Andruski. Robinson on the 37. Hit by Tom Pullen and dropped on the 39-yard line. Tom Pullen, the Ottawa boy who went to the University of Michigan. 45 yards kick and a 4-yard return. Let's go down to Joe Spence for a report from that Ottawa bench. Joe?
Johnny, they tell me that at halftime the adjustment made is to throw short and to throw over the middle. Bo Scott delaying, coming out of the backfield, things of this nature to try and get their offense going. Back up 2, John.
We'll look for it, Joe. Southern comes out with Cooper to stop Jerry Shaw. Quick toss in here to the fullback, Watson. Hit in there by Jerry Campbell and dropped for a loss of 1. And Lehman and Campbell. What a set of linebackers the Ottawa Rough Riders now have, picking up Jerry Campbell, the Idaho product. Tough for him to crack the linebacking unit of those Calgary Stampeders with Jim Furlong and Wayne Harris, and they use primarily that 2-man system. Second down, 11 to go on the 39. List loping out there. Throwing down here to Shaw. He's got it. Stopped by Billy Cooper and Don Southern.
Jerry Shaw, one of the most sure-handed receivers of all of those fine receivers on the Stampeders. Isolated, out to the side, runs a quick down and out pattern. Billy Cooper's forced to turn around. The ball's right on the target by Peter List. The big gain for the Stampeders.
First down, and List hands off to Ted Woods over the midfield stripe into the 53-yard line for a gain of 3. Jim Kane making the tackle. Great tough defensive line play along both those front walls. Try to get a close look at some of that hitting for you. 14-4 the score. Calgary over Ottawa. 2nd and 7. 5 flankers set out. Peter List changing up his call to work that offside. Throws long and out of bounds. He took a shot from Jim Kane.
See it on the freeze frame, anticipating that faster count by the Stampeders, and Peter List is giving the Ottawa Rough Riders a dose of their own medicine. That's usually Jackson's trick of the trade.
Second down and 3 as List gets that ball away to Harrison too far. And he just got the ball away in time as Wayne Giardino came sailing in from his right side, his blind side, and hit him just as he let the ball go. That'll make it 3rd down and 2.5 yards to go. 3rd down, 2.5. And with 11 minutes, 23 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter, Calgary will be forced to punt. The deep men, Barry Ardern, number 20, and Billy Cooper, number 23. Calgary has taken 2 penalties for 24 yards. Ottawa 4 for 27. Oh, and he was hit down there. Stewart did not get away on a great blitz by Kenny Lehman.
No doubt about it, John. A fantastic blitz by Kenny Lehman from that outside left spot. And take a look on the replay. Here he is, lined up on the left, comes just blasting through there. Right in there, Stewart sees it coming and wisely elects not to kick. He's no chance of getting it away now, of course, as the whole front wall collapses on him. And again, that's the 2nd time that kicking game's gone astray.
Ottawa Rough Riders first down at midfield. Stewart set wide to the left. Atkins in tuck to right. Here is Jackson looking for Atkins away downfield, and he can run this one. Jackson is going to have a first down out of this. 14 yards.
Jackson with the 9.9 rushing average this year. Didn't do much running all season until the playoff game, and of course he doesn't want to run now. But this time with the deep threat of those receivers deep downfield and all covered, here's where it's important to have that contained. And notice on that outside, a block in there, and then Payne cannot catch up to him. Furlong finally comes across, but not until he's got a big first down.
The first carry for Russ Jackson, and he picked up 14. Quick pass to Washington. Washington is tackled hard on the 35-yard line. Granville made the stop. And the gain will be 6 yards for Ottawa. Second down and 4. The Ottawa Rough Riders, who had some opportunities early in the game, could not capitalize on them. Missing field goal attempts. And now, second and 4. At the Calgary Stampeders 35, and the Stampeders leading 14-4 with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. Back over center. Scott. And he is very close to the first down, but he looks like he's a yard short. And Granville Liggins made the stop. With 10 minutes to play in the third quarter, the score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 4. So the Ottawa Rough Riders are third down and 1 yard to go. They're down 14-4 and in a mood to gamble. There's Seymour Wilson, the standby official, waiting to go in if called on. Scott. That was a great defensive play because they sent all that motion into the line. And I don't think there's enough there for it. Rough Riders pick up the first down. Here's a report with Pat Marsden.
Kenny Lehman, who set up this big series for the Ottawa Rough Riders, has a very badly bruised elbow. It's virtually immovable, but he'll be in the game, of course, from here to the end.
Okay, Pat, first down. Ottawa at the 30. Calgary 30. Fake to Scott. They got Atkins in the end zone. They throw short. To Dick Washington, first down on the 15-yard line. Stopped by Rick Shaw. 16-yard gain.
The Stampeders departed from their normal 4-2-6. They're in a 4-3-5 in this one, and Jackson makes no mistake hitting Washington, blasting through the middle there. Wayne Harris back there remarkably quick, but it is an completion.
First and 10 for the Ottawa Rough Riders at the Calgary 15. Jackson hustling back. The middle opens up. He is down on the 8-yard line, maybe the 7. He has very close to 7 yards on it. But you know, you see that Calgary club and that Calgary crowd 20 years ago when they made their first trip. It became the first time that 20,000 fans had ever seen a football game in Canada, and it's the first time that more than 20,000 had ever been taken into the gate. Today it's nearly 400,000 with 32,500 fans looking on. Second and 3. Scott spins into the middle for what should be a first down. Big Bo Scott, who averaged 6.5 yards a carry this year. It'll be first and goal to go for the Ottawa Rough Riders. And Jerry Williams sends in Joe Forzani. And Ron Stewart leads the ball game. Ottawa Rough Riders send Stewart Tucker left. Atkins in tight to the right. Scott at the 1-yard line. And he bumped Russ Jackson on that exchange.
Johnny, they almost bobbled that exchange the last time. Jackson's coming out, and the line is dodging momentarily at the line, and the timing of the backfield is being thrown off slightly.
Second and goal.
Second and goal to go from the 1. Jackson springs over for the touchdown. Jackson.
initially, but watch on the replay. Jackson pivots in there, and it's finally the Calgary impetus of number 22, Terry Wilson, that drives him into the end zone. But that's an important touchdown for the Rough Riders because they haven't had to come from behind many times this season, and it's questionable if they haven't been noted for come behind victories. They've always got out in front and stayed in front. This time, of course, trailing by 10 and now by maybe 4 or 3. They've got to keep it going.
John Southern. And he missed all his think about this one. And so one field goal separates these two football clubs. And they went from center field in 8 plays for the major score as Russ Jackson picks up his 7th touchdown of the season. And in this third quarter, Ottawa picked up 5 first downs to 1 for Calgary. Ted Woods will be going back. Number 32. Mary Robinson will be to the top of your screen. John Southern. Picked off the Woods. On the run. Former Olympic runner for the United States is in motion. Ball is loose. Gene Gaines has it. He's in the end zone, but I think there's a great argument going on. I think the whistle has killed it. Let's take a look at that one again. Yards and a 20-yard return, and the whistle had killed it.
Well, there was a whistle on the play. It's just questionable as to when it did go, but here is the replay. Woods does a tremendous job of taking us back. Finally, there's the ball coming loose, but Jerry Campbell, 54, put him down. I think the ball came down, Johnny, after he had hit the ground. Of course, it is Calgary's ball at the 32-yard line.
First and 10, Calgary at the Calgary 32. 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Woods hit by Jim Kane on the 36. Second down and 6 to go for the Stampeders on the 36. John Harrison, both foot left. That's the first time Peter List has been thrown.
And the reason for that, John, again, that short passing situation, using that pick pass, inside-outside cross. Don Southern that time came up and jammed Herman Harrison at the line of scrimmage, causing him to go off his pass route, breaking up the timing of Peter List's quick throw.
So the Calgary Stampeders. Now third down and 10.5 yards to go. Ardern and Cooper. Cooper takes it on the 42. Hit in there by Ron Payne, number 75. Herbie Shum, number 52. Great young receiving team of Ardern and Cooper. Now the Ottawa Rough Riders, who trail 14-11 with 4:55 remaining in the third quarter. Ottawa first down at the Ottawa 43. Jackson, a lot of protection this time. Now it breaks down, and Dick Suderman. John Luzzy broke that up. Jackson had 5 blockers in there to protect him on this one, and Luzzy still broke through when it looked as almost impossible.
Well, that great power of Luzzy's coming through there, it just broke down, John, but Doug Speck's done a great job of keeping Granny Liggins out there at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that makes it 4 losses for 27 yards for Russ Jackson. He loses 6 on that one. Second and 16. On the big reverse to Washington. And hit there by Jim Furlong. Dropped on the 39 by Wayne Harris. That'll make it 3rd down and 14. Bill Van Berklio, who averaged 42 and a half yards on the regular season, hunting from his own 27. McCarthy goes down by the Jayhawker from Kansas, Jay Roberts. On the 29-yard line, that's a 42-yard kick. 3 minutes, 38 seconds now remaining in the 3rd quarter, and Calgary ahead 14-11. The only scoring in this second half of play was by Russ Jackson at the 8:36 mark, and that quarterback sneak for the first major score for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Peter Lisk at his own 29. They were worried about Jerry Shaw, who was 5 yards ahead of him. 25-yard pass, and with 3 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter, the score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 11. The ball is on the Calgary Stampeder 54-yard line, and 1st down. Jerry Shaw, Bob McCarthy, wide to the bottom of your screen. Watson's in motion. Lisk comes the same way. He is caught for a loss. Tremendous blitz by Lehman, by Billy Joe Booth, and by Jim Kane. Jimmy Kane leading. That's the 2nd time. And each time they have thrown him for a loss of 8. Let's go to Joe Spence at the Ottawa bench.
Okay, Johnny, Vic Washington had a cramp spasm in his right leg. They've been rubbing it. They have it back in shape. He will be out there again as soon as Ottawa gets the ball on offense. Back to you, Johnny.
Right, Joe. 2nd down and 18 on the 46 for Calgary. On the Calgary 46. Lisk being rushed by Shirk. Pass down there for Shaw, and he goes out of bounds. No good. Don Southern, and that short sideline game is so difficult to cover when Peter Lisk is throwing, but the Ottawa Rough Riders have made a good adjustment in the second half to stop that, Bill.
Yes, they've been giving a lot more pass rush, and they've been sending Jerry Campbell on more blitzing than they did in the first half, John, but that sideline threat has been made more serious by the speed of 72 Jerry Shaw flying down that sideline from his wide flanker position and loosening that whole side off.
Ron Stewart from his own 32. Ardern. Hit there by Fred James. Larry Ardern just got that one back in the nick of time. He loses 2 yards on the return. It was a 34-yard kick.
It's a horrible feeling, John, to fumble that ball. You know it's down there someplace. You know there's about 6 guys bearing down on you, all ready to have their best shot at you, and you've got to get the ball and just hold on.
First down for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Bo Scott, the ball carrier. And he gets about 2.5 yards. Washington comes back with the football, but the whistle had gone. Let's see if we can find that exchange.
Like one of those plays from that 1909 Grey Cup with the single wing buck lateral formation. Here's Bo Scott taking the handoff into the line, hitting good resistance in there by Granville Liggins and, of course, Wayne Harris. Furlong cleaning up, and then the quick change off, but the whistle had gone.
It'll be 2nd down and 8 yards to go on the 29 for Ottawa. Jackson sends every one of his backs out of there. Down the center, no good, as Margene Atkins was knocked down at the 45-yard line and couldn't get to the ball. That'll make make it 3rd down and 8. Calgary Stampeders have had the best record of anybody in interlocking games. They won 6 and lost 3 against the Ottawa Rough Riders. And they won 22 and lost 12 since the interlocking series started in 61. Matter of fact, the only team that has had any success with Calgary in interlocking games is Toronto Argonauts, so they won 4 and lost 4. Nobody else has been able to handle them that well. Van Berkeley at his own 17. Good kick. Number 40. Robinson pulled down a flying tackle by Tom Pullen. Now to Bob Gillingham of the Calgary bench.
Spirit is high with the Calgary bench with this early part of the 3rd quarter. Despite the loss of Rudy Linderman in the earlier part of the game, they seem to be moving well. The touchdown doesn't seem to bother them too much, and they're still full of fight and a lot of spirit there, and they're determined to win this football game. Now back to you, John.
First down for the Calgary Stampeders on the 39. That's the Calgary 39. Here comes... Looks like Terry Evanson, and it was. There's a new one.
The old end-around play, and of course Hal Patterson made that famous with the Alouettes for several years. But Terry Evanson, not quite the speed, but again the element of surprise. Wayne Giardino had a pretty good blitz in there from that offside. There you see Terry on the isolated, coming across, taking that handoff. And the blocking just broke down outside there.
It'll be 2nd down and 6 on the 43 for Calgary. Pass down the middle, and Jerry Shaw is given a rough ride by Don Southern as the gun sounds to end the 3rd quarter. And at the end of the 3rd quarter, the score is Calgary 14, Ottawa 11. And Jerry Williams, who is trying to become the winningest coach in Calgary history. Les Lear won 44 games in 5 years. Bobby Dobbs won 45 in 4 years. And now Jerry Williams trying to get his 46th win to become the best of all time. Here's our videograph report on the statistical story of the coaching. Now, Ottawa has 10 first downs, Calgary 15 so far. Calgary 69 yards rushing, Ottawa 76. Ron Stewart from his own 30. Good kick. Cooper on the 27. Pulled down by Ron Payne on the 30-yard line. 41-yard kick to no return. Calgary has completed 11 out of 20 for 147 yards. Ottawa 7 out of 15 for 116. Well, we have 14 and a half minutes to go, unless we have overtime, and we have every possibility of that. Quick pass to Washington. Fumbles the ball. Recovers. Washington. Could be the one. It's gone for the touchdown. It's Washington, who was expected to explode sometime today. 79 yards.
Well, like the great football team they are, the Rough Riders have come back from that 10-point deficit. There's the ball there. And more most appropriate than Argo bounce at CNE Stadium, right back into Washington's hands. And of course, in the open field, there's nobody that's going to catch him. Frank Andruski, 24, gives a valiant attempt from that far corner spot, but just ran out of yardage.
And so it's now a 17-14 ball game. Don Southern will attempt the convert. That's blocked. Every indication of an overtime, and the fact that Southern missed that one keeps them a field goal apart. But that
And again, Johnny, that Calgary defense refuses to quit. Of course, only 3 or 4 points down. There's a got a lot of offense left to go, but it just shows you, even after suffering a bad break like that, Washington cutting loose in that long run, that defense just came, responded to the pressure, and did their job of blocking that extra point, which is almost an automatic situation.
And with 14 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, the score is Ottawa 17 and Calgary 14. And the kickoff by John Southern. Ted Woods to the 20. 25. No goal. What a run by Ted Woods, and finally he's caught from behind by Tom Fulham. Yard kick and a 29-yard run back. Ted Wood.
There's Ted Wood on that return, taking it upfield, and 21-year Gilardino slipped. Wood has kept that power going.
Back to the live action, first down, Calgary at the Calgary 42. Lift. Pass out there to Shaw, and it is no good. Joe Van Berkeley just recovered in time.
Well, Shaw from that wide flanker position, running that deep curl-in pattern. The ball thrown there. Great defensive effort by Billy Van Berkeley, breaking that play up as Shaw, the intended receiver, was right on target.
Second down and 10 to go for Peter List. At the Stampeder 42. It's a 17-14 ball game for Ottawa. Harry Evanson. And he slips and falls. The third part of his body touching the ground kills the play at that point, even though he was not being held. And it'll be on the 45-yard line, or the 46. They'll give it to him on the 46, making it third down and 6.
The last few punting situations of Stampeders, Ted Wood, the blocking fullback, lines up on the left. And when the Ottawa defense puts that big rush in, he's got to shift left to right. The last couple, Johnny, he's come very close to backing into the kicker. Let's keep an eye on that and hope from the Calgary point of view that does not happen.
Gary Ardern takes it on the 22-yard line, but he stepped out right at that point. Down to Pat Marsden.
You know, Johnny, with Vic Washington going back into the ball game, I asked him when he stepped off the field after scoring that sensational touchdown, I said, the fact that you fumbled, did it help you? He said, I don't know. He said, I was so scared, I just picked up the ball and ran as far as I could. Back to you, Johnny.
All right, Pat. 42-yard kick as Bedlam is raining here at the CNE. First down, Ottawa, at the Ottawa 21. Go Scott. Scott was initially hit and stopped by Ron Stewart. He slid off, and they're going to mark him back to the point where he was stopped the first time. It looked for a moment like he might get away with it.
Well, John, he was hit. His knee did touch the ground. Any part of your body other than your hand or feet, you hit the ground on contact by the defense, brings the play dead at that spot.
Second down at the 21-yard line. Second and 10. Jackson steps into that pocket. Finally goes out on the 42-yard line. Stopped by number 22, Terry Wilson. 20-yard gain for Russ Jackson.
Good play fake in here. Jackson hiding the ball back in there, and of course, knowing the yardage situation, elects to run. Notice the block Ronnie Stewart picks on there, and Jay Roberts further downfield, leaving Jackson to pick up very valuable yardage.
Russ Jackson has carried the ball 4 times for 43 yards, so he's sticking right to his year-long average of about 10 yards a carry. Joe Forzani has come in on the right corner. He goes to the left corner. Furlong comes to the right corner, and they're doing a lot of juggling. Washington. Stopped by Harris and Furlong.
Washington dropped by Harrison Furlong.
I've never seen such a demand for tickets for a Grey Cup game as we underwent this year. There's the temperature, 36 degrees, so it has gone up one since the game started. Oh, weatherman must have got into the act. He wanted to see these two great clubs perform. Washington has carried 10 times and has picked up 111 yards. It'll be second down and 12. Second down. The ball is just between the 39 and the 40-yard line, so the second and 12. Roberts, Stewart, Washington, everybody out to the right. Jackson. Long one down here, intended for Rick Tucker.
Jackson, Tucker,
That's the first deep pattern they've done to Tucker. Terry Wilson and Jerry Keeling were way down there covering with him. If you watch these two great ball clubs wrap up the 1968 campaign, you look forward with relish to 1969. Neil Armstrong, the Eskimos, and Jim Champion, the BC Lions, Eagle Keys of Saskatchewan, and Joe Zaleski, Winnipeg. Kay Dalton and his Alouettes who are almost there. The ball is at the 31-yard line. Take a look now at how close a kick can be to being blocked.
Jim Furlong 70 and 75. Ron Payne breaking in very strong and quickly from that right side. Almost get ahead. Look at 75 go high in the air in that one. Just missed that one by a fraction of a second.
First and 10. Calgary at the Calgary 31. Statue of Liberty with Ted Woods. Woods to the 45-yard line for a gain of 14. Dave Bragan. Well, Calgary Stampeders made the sleeper play famous 20 years ago this week. Now they're coming back and trying to make that Statue of Liberty the thing to do again.
And Mike Spitzer, that very fine rookie guard of theirs with all that speed and power, led that play perfectly around the left end and gave the Stampeders a very important first down to get them out of their end of the field.
First and 10. Calgary at their own 45. Here's the sideline pass to Jerry Shaw. And Billy Cooper swings him down. Now you know how some of those big Cowboys feel at the Calgary Stampede every year. Watch Jerry Shaw go down.
Of course, here's one of the better plays of the Calgary pass offense, that quick breakout pattern. And there's a lot of pressure put on Billy Cooper there because he's got to make that tackle or others a wide sideline, wide open.
7 for 75 for Jerry Shaw. Art Frazee is now in the backfield, number 16. And out to Watson to the midfield stripe, and it's very close. Jerry Watson, another great Calgary junior out of Utah State. 6 will be on the way. Calgary Stampeders who averaged 22 points a game this year. Ottawa Rough Riders averaged 29. So the two best offenses in the country are here at the Grey Cup, and Ottawa leads 17-14 with 9 minutes to go. Shaw and Evanson and Harrison. Watson all set left. There's Good call. Terry Evanson is stopped on the 35-yard line, and that's a gain of 20. And Berkeley made the tackle.
This is a difficult pattern for the defense to break up. Terry Evanson and Jerry Shaw combining perfectly out there. Evanson down, running that quick hook, and then drifting into the center. A curling pattern, finding the open.
Evanson has caught 3 for 45, and here's List having to get out of that pocket. Intended for Jerry Shaw, and he does it. Almost. Let's take a good look at Jerry Shaw because he's having a fantastic day.
Well, that was almost a repeat of the Terry Evanson touchdown earlier in that first half where he ran a stop-and-go pattern. This time, Jerry Shaw from flank wide right comes down. List gives you a semi-roll out of here to get away from that rush, and then just lofts the ball perfectly. Jerry Shaw just couldn't catch up to it. There it is in slow motion. Shaw makes a great attempt at it, almost has it, but cannot hold on to it.
Second down and 10 now for the Calgary Stampeders on the Ottawa 35. Peter List. Bit of a mix-up here between Jerry Shaw and Herman Harrison. He threw it in between the two, and I don't know who the intended receiver would be there, Bill.
Sometimes, Johnny, in the heat of the moment and with all that tension and crowd noise, I think the outside receivers have a difficult time of hearing audibles way back in at the quarterback spot. And that may have been the case there. And, of course, when the ball was thrown, with that slippery footing, Jerry Shaw could not react back quickly in time.
Well, it's third down, and the tying point will be tried. Jerry Keeling will hold. And Larry Robinson will try from the 42. Robinson's longest kick this year was 44, and this is very short. Don Southern. Given out on the 24-yard line. Okay, Joe.
They say the pros have to learn to play with pain. One who's playing with a great deal of pain right now is Kenny Lehman. His left elbow is pumped up to about 3 times its normal size. He can barely move the arm. He's out there on every play on defense. Up to you, John.
Well, the ball is on the 24-yard line, first down, and the Ottawa Rough Riders weathered that drive. We have 7 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the ball game. 17-14 for Ottawa. Atkins to the left. Robert Stewart, Tucker all wide right. Both Scott, the ball carrier. Stopped by John Leslie. Gain is 7 yards. It'll be second down and 3 for the Ottawa Rough Riders on the Ottawa 30.
Stopped by Suderman at the 30-yard line. A gain of 6, second and 4.
Tucker will come to the bottom of your screen this time with Stewart. And Bo Scott. Quick toss for Washington. Good block. Rickshaw spun him. And he's finally dropped on the 37-yard line, and that's the first down.
Well, the Rough Riders felt that they could run outside wide on the Stampeders. They didn't have much success in the first half, but they kept at it. There you'll see a great attempt by Shaw on 27, but great determination by Vic Washington, spinning away, evading that tackle, picking up valuable extra yardage.
Washington has 11 carries for 119 yards. It is first down. Washington lost his footing, but got it back again and picked up 2 yards. Second down and 8 yards to go for the Rough Riders on the 40. I mentioned the Western clubs all gearing for next year already, and those clubs that didn't have it this year trying to fill the holes and almost making it. In the East, Joe Rustick, Kay Dalton, and Hamilton, and Montreal, and everybody is well aware of what Leo Cahill did to the Argonauts to put them into the finals. The 69 looks good already. Jackson. Good protection. Look at this pass for Atkins. Got it. Arjun Atkins, and he is Aitken breaks the game wide open with 5 minutes to go. 70 yards.
Well, the Stampeders aren't the only team to feel the effects of the bomb. Here it is again. Jackson rolling right, getting away from that pressure. A tremendous throw deep cross field. Margene Atkins almost went out. The official on the spot had to come around, check that spot momentarily, then signaled a big touchdown for the Rough Riders.
Atkins has caught 2 passes for 93 yards.
Look at it again, isolated. Margene flank wide to the right, number 73. Down and across with blinding speed. Russ Jackson, one of the best in the country at hitting that bomb long and accurate. And Terry Wilson gives it a valiant attempt, but just too much speed and power.
23-14, and now Don Southern from the 17. And that's good. 10 points separating these two football teams. Calgary Stampeders with the great passing of Peter List. And great receivers can hit from anywhere in the field at any time. They've suffered the loss of Dave Cranmer, then Rudy Linderman, first and second backs in that position. And despite the juggling that Jerry Williams has done, he's made a valiant effort to regroup. Now finds himself down by 10. They went for 4 plays from the 24-yard line. Larry Robinson on the 5. Robinson almost broke away, but Giardino had him by the sweater. Dave Braggins came in to help out, along with Ken Shaw, number 50, another of the Ottawa rookies. 61-yard kick and a 35-yard return. And so the two quarterbacks who like to look at that line and change their plays go to the kids up in the rides at the CNE over there trying to get a free look. 4 receivers out to the left for List and lots of blocking. Sideline passer, the passing looks good. First down for 18 yards.
John, first it was that great offense of the Ottawa Rough Riders who were facing that 10-point deficit and came storming back to go into a 10-point lead. And now it's going to be that Calgary offense. It's their turn, 10 points behind. 4 minutes, 30 seconds to go, and don't count them out.
First down for the Calgary Stampeders on the Ottawa 54. Fakes to Watson. The pass is good enough to Terry Evanson. And Evanson is down on the 33. This game is a long way from being over. 22 yards to Terry Evanson.
Here you'll see perfectly why Terry Evans is one of the leading receivers in the country. Great moves, nifty patterns, and tremendous hands and good concentration. Everything. And that's when running that very difficult break-in pattern. Berkeley O'Fani pulled him into the stop.
List back again to get out of that crush. Over there to Watson. He's got a first down out of it, and Don Southern drives him out on the 21-yard line. And the 12-yard gain, and there is the new impala to be given to the player of the game, as voted on by the Football Reporters of Canada and donated to the FRC by the Labatt people. It'll be tough making a choice today. First down Calgary on the Ottawa 21. Peter List rolling out of there. Here's the pass, and Gene Gaines is called for pass interference on Bob McCarthy.
No doubt about that one, John. Here you'll see on replay, Gene Gaines is the rover on it, reacting to that roll. List throws the ball out there. Gene Gaines is beaten on the play. I don't know if he deliberately or accidentally tripped in there, but he certainly did the job of knocking the receiver off the pattern. And the officials right on the spot, 2 of them, pass interference. Automatic first down.
It's completed 17 out of 29 for 221 yards. First and goal to go on the 9. List into the end zone. great defensive play.
It was a great defensive play. Actually, McCarthy running that short pattern at the goal line was the one that broke open, but he elected to go deep to the Evans.
And with 3 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, the score is Ottawa 24, Calgary 14. Well, there's a split-screen look at the very worried Jerry Williams and the time showing 3:02. Ottawa with the first intercepted pass of the ball game, are first down at their own 10. Now that great Calgary defense is going to have to rise to its greatest height. Boscott. Dropped by Terry Wilson. He dropped for a loss to the 5-yard line. That'll make it 2nd and 15. Terry Wilson, former Everton Eskimo, comes in with the big tackle.
Johnny, that last defensive play by Van Berkelo intercepting on Terry Evanson would probably be the defensive play of the game to this point, and he just did a great job of going up in front. Evanson had him beat on the play, but he just couldn't catch up to the ball.
Don Luzzy is very concerned because this slows down the pattern and breaks up the momentum. The Calgary club at this point has Ottawa's 2nd and 15, and they'd be building themselves to the big drive. And very pleased to be sending this football telecast to 57 television stations across Canada. 2nd down and 15. Scott fumbles the football. Calgary has recovered. Don Luzzy on the 17-yard line. Third Ottawa fumble of the day.
Dick Suderman is Johnny on the spot on this one. Luzzy is in there also, but the ball comes loose right in here. Terry Wilson comes in, pulls down on top. There you'll see it loose. 67, the Sutterman picks it up, and very wisely does not elect to throw it off.
So Don Luzzy pulls him down, and Suderman recovers the ball, and Lisk is back to throw. A sideline pass out there, and it is good to Bob McCarthy on the 5-yard line. 1 minute and 53 seconds remaining. Minute and 53 seconds to go. 24-14 Ottawa. Calgary Stampeders down 10 points. Their first and goal to go from the 6. Little short pass in there to the 1-yard line to Herman Harrison. That's the first pass caught by Herman Harrison today. The Suns breaking through for the first time. Minute 47 remaining. It is 2nd and goal to go for Calgary at the Ottawa 2-yard line. Lisk throwing again, and it is no good. Jerry Shaw, who has been the workhorse of those Stampeders today, was unable to get to that one. And the sun shines through with its, well, first brilliance of the month, I guess. But an appropriate way to end off the most exciting CFL football season of all time. Lisk. Watson. Same play, and it is touchdown. Terry Evanson. With 1 minute and 34 to go.
That sets it up for a wild finish. Lisk going to his reliable Terry Evanson, and Shaw almost came in there and collided and broke that one up, but Evanson, determination plus, brings it in for the big cheap pass, the 2nd touchdown of the game.
To 20, and this is a very big point now for Larry Robinson. It's good. field goal again, and we have 1 minute and 34 seconds. This will likely be a short kickoff.
Here's Terry Evans, a touchdown, and isolated down, quick in, very difficult to defend in that goal line. But Billy Van Berkio has no chance to react and quickly and break up that pass.
And Terry Everson, the outstanding Canadian player in the CFL last year, together with Peter List, who's written so many great records in his very short career in the Canadian Football League, but he's got a lot of great years ahead of him. Now watch for the short kickoff. 1:34 to go. The ball must travel 10 yards. The official almost got in the way of the ball. But Ottawa has it. Tom Schutte, I believe, was the receiver. And we have 1:29 to go. And so the Ottawa Rough Riders now probably run the football. Get off the clock. The clock starts going from the moment the referee leaves the ball. That is now on a running play in this last 2 minutes. Jackson will take the full 20 seconds each time. Vic Washington. Stop shy of the 55-yard line. The gain will be 2.
It's a helpless feeling, Johnny, on defense. You know that the clock is going against you, and Jackson's going to take all his time, and he's going to hand off, and you're just helpless and powerless to do anything about it.
Second down. And 8 yards to go. 60 seconds to go. Ooh, and that almost backfired, but the Stampeders were able to hold the Ottawa Rough Riders and force them to punt with 46 seconds to go. Miguel Coleman getting in for the first shot against his old club. And with time running out, I'd like to take an opportunity to say thank you to the folks at Canadian Pacific, at General Motors, Labatt East, and the regular Western sponsors who have been bringing CFL football to football fans across Canada during all of this 1968 campaign, and we all look forward to being back again with you in 1969. The fans are complaining that Jackson is, of course, pulling the clock, which he did. Still on in the huddle, leaving 24 seconds. Well, they can't do that a second time or they'd lose the ball. It'd be a consecutive penalty on a third down, and they'd be forced to give it up, so they'll have to run it this time.
And of course, the clock will not start now, John, until the ball is centered.
Here's the kick. And Berkio to Bob McCarthy, the lone man back. He heads to the sidelines to kill the clock, and there's 13 seconds to go. 24-21. Ottawa Rough Riders over the Calgary Stampeders. 13 seconds on the clock. Peter List rolling to his right. Pass back to opposite side to Herman Harrison, and there's 3 seconds on the clock. Giardino making the tackle. We'll be going to the dressing room for some interviews, and we'll have the presentation of the Grey Cup. And it'll be interesting to see who the Football Reporters of Canada pick as the winner of that new car. This has to be it. List trying the bomb, and it cannot work. Knocked away by Joe Poirier. The gun sounds. The game is all over. But what a football game as the Ottawa Rough Riders come through and win it their 6th victory and 11 tries in the National Football Championship of Canada. Mob scene is on the field, and while it is disappointing naturally to the Calgary Stampeders, I think that Jerry Williams and his club have done an outstanding job of improvisation, made a great battle of it, and the game is over. The final score, Ottawa 24, Calgary 21, and we'll be back with our summary and post-game show in a moment. So the presentation of the Grey Cup to Russ Jackson, and it's such a mob scene down there. They've already made the presentation, but what we are going to do for you as they're trying to lead the Prime Minister out because of that fantastic crowd rush and crush, but we will be able to go down to the dressing room and we'll meet some of the players, we'll talk to the coaches, we'll have the presentation, we'll have the announcement of the trophy and the car. And now let's take a look at the final statistics. First downs, Ottawa 14, Calgary 22. Calgary 180 yards rushing, Ottawa 196. Calgary 400 yards passing, Ottawa 186. Calgary completing 22 and Ottawa 8. 4 fumbles by Calgary and by Ottawa. And 5 recovered by Ottawa, recovering 1 of their own. 4 penalties for 20 yards to Calgary, and Ottawa 3 for 44 yards. The punting average 46 yards for Ron Stewart and 38 yards for Bill Van Berkeley of the Ottawa Rough Riders. We'd like to thank the Videograph people who were able to bring this new machine that you just saw up to Canada so that we could have a look at it for the first time in Canada, and we believe that it has been a contribution to a better football telecast, and we hope that you have enjoyed it.
Johnny, both teams were superb. They didn't disappoint anyone, I'm sure. 2 great offenses, equally fine defenses, and of course those statistics showed the story perfectly. Ottawa with a very balanced rushing and passing game. Calgary pretty well all the pass, 400 yards passing, 100 and some odd rushing. But again, the defenses kept on coming on, taking the ball back from the respective offenses, turning it over to their offense. Russ Jackson did a great job of mixing it up, and they got the big break that would set the whole thing, their whole offense ahead, ignited them. Vic Washington's long run after fumbling the ball on a sweep around left end, taking it in all the way for the touchdown. Of course, the Calgary Stampeders fought back valiantly, refused to quit, even to the final second there. And who knows what could have happened with another minute or so to go with Peter Lisk under full control there.
Well, Bill, we're getting ready to go downstairs, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you and all the gang for being with us on this telecast this year. And Ken Newens and Al McCann, Joe Spence and Bob Gillingham are getting ready down in the dressing room. And we're ready to go downstairs now and make this presentation and meet some of the players.
Well, we have with us a man I'm sure everybody recognizes in Canada right now. It must be at the height of one of his happiest moments, Russ Jackson. Russ, tell us about it.
Well, Ken, it has to be the happiest. When you win them like this, we were down at halftime. We just went back out there and said we're going to play 30 minutes of football, win or lose, and everybody played well. It's just fantastic.
Can you tell us about the big pass to Atkins? Just what was that?
Yes, we were setting that up all day with a little semi-roll to one side or the other, and we were waiting for them to come with the roll, and they kept coming a little bit more, and then we just put him across green deep, and they came, and he went right back there. And
Must
nobody
have made some major adjustments at halftime.
Well, we went out there with about 9 plays that we were going to run that second half, and that's all we did. We ran about 9 plays, and they worked.
This has to be one of the great comebacks for you, Russ, since you became a Rough Rider.
Well, it has to be the greatest.
Well, we want to wish you the very best of luck, and thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, Al McCann is a star over there right now.
Climaxed a tremendous year by making that dramatic 79-yard run for the touchdown. Vic, congratulations. It must be a great moment.
I'm telling you, it was my first Grey Cup, my first touchdown in the Grey Cup, and playing against Pete in my hometown. I'm telling you, it's really great.
Pretty slippery going out there, but you broke that one. This really counted.
Well, yes, it was, we run an 89, sort of like a half sweep. and I dropped the ball, and I got kind of scared, and I said, oh, Lord, let me pick it up and run with it.
Well, Russell just mentioned that you had very few plays in that second half, but you really had them working. Whatever you did at the halftime really made your team bounce back.
Right. I think that, you know, the guys realized that there was a few mistakes made in the first half, blocking-wise, you know, on the sweeps and the inside running, so we corrected that, and then we just tried to grind it on out.
Well, Vic, it was a tremendous second half, a great football game, and a sensational victory. Best of luck next year.
Okay, thank you.
Dick Washington. Now over to Ken.
Yes, sir. We have with us Doug Specht, and Doug, you must be a pretty proud guy right now.
Ken, it's the greatest in the world, baby. We came out in the second half. We had a few breaks in the first half. We didn't capitalize on them. We came in the second half, and we said, let's go get them. We went out and got them. The offensive line played well. Defense played tremendous. Russ called the right plays, and everybody put their hearts together, and that's why we won this year. Everybody put their hearts together.
You're playing across from a great ball player by the name of Granville Liggins. I thought you did an outstanding job.
Oh, Granny's a tough ball player, and I appreciate what you said about that. But Granny played a hell of a game, too.
Was the line play, the battle of the trenches, pretty tough out there?
Oh, tremendous. They came on us hard. They got some tough boys in there. Leslie's not too bad. They got one of the best linebackers in the league, if not the best. Next to Kenny Lehman, I think Kenny deserves what he got this year. But the whole team played together. That's the thing. We played as a unit, and we went out and licked them up. That's all.
Very good, Doug.
Thank you, Ken.
Congratulations again. Now let's meet Jay Roberts.
Well, Jay, congratulations on that tremendous dramatic finish.
Oh, thank you. I tell you, I'm glad it wasn't any closer than that because I thought I was going to have an ulcer in the last few minutes.
You must have been a little bit worried at halftime. 14-4 down against a fine defensive football club like Calgary, but you came bouncing back.
Well, they played extremely well in the first half, but we thought we played well, too. We made a couple of individual errors that cost us some big plays and kept us in the hole, but really it was reverse of our game with them during the season when we led at halftime and they came back in the second half and won 27-24. We're glad it happened this way.
Jay, I thought you might be a little bit down when you had great field position in the early going and only got 4 points.
Well, we came into this game knowing that it would be a long game. It wouldn't happen in the first quarter. We were going to have to go the entire game to beat them because they're an explosive team that can score from anywhere on the field. But fortunately, so were we today.
Jay, congratulations.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Okay, Ken.
A reminder that the final score is Ottawa 24, Calgary 21. We'll continue with our post-game show in a moment. We have with us the happy, victorious head coach of the Ottawa Rough Rider football team, Frank Clare. And Frank, you must be 10 feet tall right about now.
Well, about 20. This is a great win, one of the finest probably wins that I've ever coached in any Grey Cup series. Tremendously proud of our boys. We made a great comeback after being down 14-4 at the halftime. We just came back, and I knew that we had something. I told them at the half we just keep trying, and we would be there. We beat a real wonderful, well-coached football team, and they certainly, going back to West, can feel that they've got one of the finest teams that Canada's probably ever seen.
What was the major adjustment of halftime, Coach?
Well, we tried several things, and we actually what won for us was, of course, a great one. Two things, really, was the catch of Margene Atkins. We planned that all week and hoped to throw it during the game. This is one of the factors. Of course, Russ made a great throw, and our line held up. Our line blocking was fine. Our defense, well, it's just hard to say that any particular thing did it. It was just a fine, real fine team effort.
To win is one thing, but to come from behind to win is even greater.
That makes it a lot more pleasant.
What a difference a year can make, Frank.
That's right. It really be wonderful this year.
It certainly is, and thank you very much.
Thank
Congratulations to a very fine coach, Frank Clare. And now, over to Al McCann.
Well, I have a fellow who's had a tremendous week here in Toronto. Not only was he named the top lineman in the country, but he was also instrumental in that great victory. Ken Lehman, congratulations.
Thanks very much.
This Calgary Football Club had an explosive offense all year long. Did you see anything different, or did they go pretty much what you expected?
Well, they did primarily what we expected. We knew we had to stop their passing, and we were willing to give up a little running. And they got a few passes on us the first half there, and we just had 100% effort and came back and really put it to them.
Ken, in that second 30 minutes, I thought you started to get through the quarterback, Pete Listmore. And in fact, on 4 or 5 occasions, he was dumped. The rush just seemed more effective in the second half.
Yeah, we started mixing up our blitzes there, and they seemed like that the Calgary line was getting a little confused there, and we happened to bust through there a couple of times, and I think we kind of caused him a few problems.
Then when you got the offense going, a couple of big passes, a big run by Vic Washington, that was the difference.
That's right. We got a tremendous offense and a good defense, and just 100% effort all the way.
Ken, congratulations on your award and on today's tremendous victory.
Thanks very much.
Over to Ken.
Vic Washington made a spectacular run out there today, and one of the men that pulled out to lay a great block was Roger Perdrick. Roger, congratulations, and tell us about that play.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. That's what we call an 89, and it's just a quick pitch around left end to Vic. And Tom Bainan and myself, left tackle and left offensive guard, we pulled out, and I'm sure Tom made a fine block. His job is to block the corner out, and I'm supposed to turn up in the hole and pick up anybody coming from the inside. In that particular play, I was lucky, and I got Wayne Harris, and Vic, just as great a back as he is, just managed to break loose, and once he gets behind you, there's no catching him.
Roger, as an offensive ball club, you must have looked with pride at that last half of play.
Well, being an offensive lineman, we don't make the ink too much, but when it was 14-4 at halftime, I didn't know if we had what it takes against this Calgary defense, whom I think is as fine as there is in Canada, but we came out there and we just stuck our noses in there and we did the job, and it's the happiest day of my life.
Good luck to you, and thank you, Roger.
Thank you very
much. Thank you, Roger Perdrick. Now let's meet Billy Joe Booth.
Here's Billy Joe Booth, another of the outstanding Ottawa Stars. Billy Joe, you're a happy man today, I imagine.
Tired and happy, yes.
A tremendous victory, a tremendous second half of football.
It was. Our offense came on. We knew what we had to do. I thought our defense played real fine football in the first half, and I think it might have been an inspiration to our offense. Offense went back out, and they took the ball, and they had to get it across the goal line. That's exactly what they did. I would like to say this about Calgary. It was a championship game, and I think both teams played like champions that they are.
How did that field affect you, Billy Joe?
I thought the field was a little slow in spots. They put sand on it. It was a little tough to get a footing out there, and naturally Peter List releases that ball fast. It was kind of tough to get a rush sometimes. We were trying to play a three-man front, and playing a three-man front, you get doubled and triple team a lot of time because you've only got three men coming in, and they got their whole offensive line to block you, but it worked because our linebackers were dropping back in the short areas, and we were taking the quick release away from List, and I think this helped us a lot. Real happy, real fine ball game, real tough ball game. My first win of the Grey Cup. I'm delighted.
Billy Joe, a great 2 weeks after getting in the hole, losing that first one to Argos, you bounced back, a big win, and then another big win.
Oh, we knew we could do it. We knew we could do this one today, too.
Billy Joe, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Ken.
A reminder that the final score is Ottawa 24, Calgary 21. We'll continue with our post-game show in a moment.
Football Reporters of Canada each year selects the outstanding player of the Grey Cup game, and I have the president of the FRC with me right now, Ted Reynolds of Vancouver. Ted, would you take over?
You bet, Al. Thanks very much. The Football Reporters of Canada members who have been in attendance at this Grey Cup game have voted the outstanding player of the game. And the man voted as the outstanding player of this year's game is Ottawa's Vic Washington. Vic, congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know what to say, but I'm very happy. It wasn't for the boys blocking for me, I would never made it that far.
Well, that was some run, Vic. And if you just step over here, I'm going to ask Mr. Lloyd Leaning, the president of Labatt of Ontario, to hand to you a set of car keys. Labatt's have handed over to the Football Reporters of Canada a brand new 1969 automobile, and now from us and Labatt, that goes to you.
Thank you.
All the congratulations in the world.
Thank you.
What a great day. A great day.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vic. Congratulations. Al, back to you, and from the Football Reporters of Canada, I think we picked a pretty good man as the winner.
Ted, I agree. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Vic. Okay, let's go over to Ken.
Thank you. Well, Gene, would like to go along with that. That Vic's a pretty fine football player.
Yes, he's a very fine football, and for a rookie ball player, I think he helped us out quite a bit this year. One thing is that a great one of his that almost cinched the Grey Cup for us this year.
Well, I'd like to say number 22 was in on every play. You had a great day yourself, Gene. You really stuck them hard out there.
Well, I think all of us stuck them hard because we had our problems. We were playing against a fine ball club in Calgary, and Peter List, who's one of the finest quarterbacks in the CFL at this time, I think he's one of the finest quarterbacks in the country at this time. And he has some of the great receivers. And playing against a team of this sort, the only thing you could do is hang in there and hope the breaks go your way and just play them tough. I know they were playing us tough, but we just stuck. And things went against us, things went for us. But we just hung in there and played the ball that we knew how, and then we came out number one.
Congratulations, Gene. You made a great contribution. We always enjoy watching you play.
Thank you so much.
Good enough. And now to Al McCann.
Well, okay, Ken, right now we're going to go back upstairs for some videotape highlights, and here's Gene Filipski.
Okay, thanks very much. And, Bill, it was certainly an outstanding second half of play. We got a number of the highlights, probably about 12 good plays. And, of course, the big ones we'll see later on.
Well, there were some great ones in there, Gene.
Certainly were. Let's take a look at one of the first ones that came on, Ron Stewart. was punting on a third down situation. We'll see it coming up here on the monitor in just a little while. He was subjected to a full blitz pressure by Ottawa. He decided to eat the football. Watch here. He just changes his mind at the last moment. It's a big break for the Ottawa Rough Riders. On this next play coming up, Vic Washington, on a typical post pattern, gains close to 20 yards to set up Ottawa in excellent scoring territory. Jackson, of course, scoring down the middle. Typical all day, Bill. Rush Jackson decides to keep the football, and he goes in for the touchdown, but behind the very capable blocking on the left side of that line. Watch Pete Liska this play. He finds McCarthy in the clear on a square-out type pattern, gains 25 yards. Bob McCarthy, an excellent receiver. There's a big rush on Lisk that we saw quite frequently this afternoon by the rough, tough Ottawa line, defensive line. That resulted in a big loss for the Stampeders. Lehman and Booth led the way. Watch him here. Tremendous pressure on him. And here's the big one, Vic Washington. He drops the football initially, as you can see, but calmly picks it up again. He races 79 yards for the score. Roger Perdrix, number 51, made the key block that time. This, incidentally, is the longest run from scrimmage in Grey Cup history, Bill. Pretty spectacular. Okay, now let's get down to Ken Newen.
There it is, the Grey Cup with Billy Joe Booth. And the final score of the 1968 Grey Cup game is Ottawa 24, Calgary 21. This is Ken Newen saying goodbye for all our broadcast crews, our sponsors, the CTV and CBC networks, and the Canadian Football League, as we come to the end of another season of football entertainment.
Canadian professional football. Another General Motors Sports Action presentation brought to you by GM dealers across Canada who invite you to see and drive the Mark of Excellence cars.
This is the CBC Television Network.